All right, everyone, we are live doing another huge build out that we're working on. We're actually today building out 8 different computers for our office I'm working for. So it's gonna be a ton of fun. We're gonna talk tech while we go through the process, answer any of your guys' questions, and we're gonna build a ton of computers. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy, stick around, share it with your friends. We just lost a connection to TikTok. We'll give that a second to try to reconnect. It looks like it just did. Hey, how you doing, Cloud, Andrew, and Bill? Hey, thanks all for coming out. Yeah, so we're going to be building out these computers. This is for an office I'm working on. So basically, we have a bunch of basic workstations, but they're actually really great base level systems to be working with. If you did want to throw in a graphics card, to go ahead and turn them into like a gaming system, because it is really designed to have that expandability down the road, and that's why we chose a lot of the parts that we did. So let's go ahead and run over the actual build. We'll probably talk about this quite a bit, but everything is really based around looking for a case that can go in a professional environment. And really the best one out there right now, in my opinion, is the Fractal Design Pop. This is their mini silent version, which is actually really nice. It's really, really quiet. It includes 3 fans. It's got a bunch of extras that are just kind of really nice and simple. That's going to give everything that we need for this customer. And because we're going for a smaller form factor anyways, this is going to be perfect for the environment that we're placing it in. So it's kind of why we chose the case, and everything really revolved around that after that point. When it comes to the processor, we really wanted something that's going to be solid. It's got to be reliable for not this year, but for years to come. So we went ahead and chose the Intel i5-13400. I believe this is a 10-core processor. I think it's 6 P cores and 4 E cores, if I'm off the top of my head. And basically, this CPU is pretty much perfect for this exact use case. They're not going to be doing a ton of work just on the system. A lot of it's cloud-based applications. So that's why we went ahead and chose this CPU. It's really fast, really reliable. Had great luck with this one so far. I put it in a bunch of other offices, and this CPU's run really well. And it's also a really great budget gaming CPU, as I'll have a build with this CPU coming up pretty soon. With that said, next up, let's go ahead and let's talk about our motherboard. So we went with basically the best budget board when it came to, we're looking for something with this LGA 1700 form factor socket. So we went with the MSI Pro B750M-P. This is a DDR4 board, allows us to save a little bit on cost, while at the same time having all the features that we need for the system. When it comes to storage, we went with a really fast 500 gigabyte drive. They don't need a ton of storage for this circumstance. If you guys are building this out for yourself, I'd probably recommend either the 1 or 2 terabyte variety of this drive right here. This is the Crucial P3 Plus, runs up to 4,700 megabytes per second, which is really good. It's a great mid-range NVMe SSD, and we really only needed a little bit of storage for their use case, which is why we went ahead and went with that drive. So it's gonna be great load up times, great reliability, and I really can't complain with anything with that drive from my experience. When it comes to memory though, we do have some back here. Yeah, we're going with Patriot Signature Premium. This is a 16 gigabyte kit. Just need to be something really basic. So it's going to be basically what we'll be using here. I think this is only 2666. So it didn't need to be fast for this use case. Again, if you guys were building this for yourself, maybe I would adjust parts a little bit. Go with something like Corsair Vengeance 3200 or something along those lines. Lastly, when it comes to the actual power supply that we chose to use, we're using the Seasonic S12. This is their 3rd generation 500 watt power supply. Love Seasonic power supplies. They're super reliable, come with a great warranty, super easy to work with, great company. So always love using their power supplies whenever I can. And this one actually came in at a pretty good price right now. So if you guys have any questions about the build, go ahead and let me know. But besides that, I think it's time to go ahead and start building things out. So let me set this case off to the side. And let's get everything that we don't need right away off to the side, and we're going to start working with our motherboard here. So as I always go ahead and work with these type of cases, or these type of builds, I always like to go ahead and hop over to our top-down view. This will go ahead and allow us to see what we're working with. And today we're working with this MSI B750M-P DDR4 board. So we're going to go ahead and just pull that out. Again, this board is very, very basic. They try to cut down on anything they possibly can with this board. It's really designed for this type of office workstation board, or it can be good for gaming if you don't really need a lot of the extras. So you don't need a bunch of RGB connectors, a bunch of fan headers. It kind of limits some of those aspects that you may not need. So let's go ahead and slide that out of here. And then we'll go ahead and set it right on the motherboard box, makes it nice and easy to build on. And we'll go ahead and start working. So we need to get our CPU prepped. Let me go ahead, get that out. We'll be using stock coolers as well. Again, this is really just a cost saving measure. RAM, and then storage, we just need to, that pops out like that. So let's go ahead and get our CPU going. Go ahead and make this build. These builds kind of go quick, and try to knock these out pretty quick. So, and if again, like I said, if you guys have questions regarding the build or any other questions related to IT, go ahead and ask me, because we'll go ahead and talk as we go through the process. So let's go ahead and just take our CPU, lower it into place, and there we go. CPU is now installed. We can pop down the socket cover, and as I will tell you guys as many times as you guys watch my videos, always hold on to these. These are super important, just in case you ever have to warranty your motherboard. So I usually like to stick that in the motherboard box once I'm done. Same thing with the clamshell with the CPU. These are just great things to hold on to. What's the CPU? It's an i5-13400. So it's a great budget mid-range CPU. Perfect for the use case of this customer. So we're gonna go ahead and take our stock cooler, which are just super easy to install. So we're gonna go ahead and place it right here. Line it up, pop out all the corners into place. There we go. And I think we should be good there. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and plug this fan header right into place. And now we got our motherboard pretty much prepped from that side of things. It looks like this one didn't lock all the way. There we go. Let's go ahead and just give it a little twist to relock it into place. There we go. Give me 1 second. Sliding this back in. It didn't go in all the way. Yeah, there we go. Has to go all the way over to the right, I believe, to actually slot in. There we go. There. It was not all the way in, and there we go. Now this bottom one also was a little loose, so we'll go ahead and pop those all into place, and there we go. That system now running great. There we go. Now we can go ahead and get our RAM installed. So we got, we're gonna do slots 2 and 4. That's the recommended for this motherboard. I went ahead and checked ahead of time. And I think it even signifies it right on the motherboard itself, making things nice and easy. So we can go ahead and slot that, let it pop in. Let's go to the next one right here. There we go. All right, so there we got the memory installed. Let's do our SSD. Let me grab a smaller screwdriver because we got to go ahead and unscrew this little cover right here. So it's just 2 screws. And nope, this one actually unscrewed the little latch. So let's they shouldn't have actually made it that way. I'm not. Let's go ahead and slide that, unscrew it, hold it with some pliers to go ahead and make sure it doesn't slide around. Sometimes that will happen. So let me go ahead and just get this guy right here, and there we go. That screw is now out properly. All right, now we can screw this back into place as it should be. This one is basically one of those little nice little latches. They're pretty cool. They allow you to basically install the SSD pretty much with limited screws. This one does have a heatsink on top, but if you didn't have a heatsink, they're actually really cool because you don't even need one to Yeah, where you don't even need to screw anything in because it just latches right down. I made a video about these a long time ago, and they're actually pretty cool. So always been a pretty big fan since they've been out there on the market for a while. I think the first one I saw do it was ASUS with their Tough board. I did a video on that, and it was really cool because it was just super easy to work with. They also had a nice little PCIe latch that I've been a huge fan of that they've been implementing recently. So there we go. We can go ahead and slot this guy down and then basically just move the little latch over. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and peel off the back cover off of the thermal pad. And that will go ahead and allow us to lower this right onto place. And now we'll go ahead and screw it down. All right. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Just let me know as we go through this build process. We're on system number 1 of 8, so we got quite a bit of time to go through all these. Let's go ahead and put this stuff away just so we can kind of keep things organized as possible as we go through this process, because it's going to get cluttered quick with everything that we're working with. So I'm going to step this all off up front, and then I will grab it while we're waiting on stuff in between. So let's go ahead and hop over to the main camera again. All right, so let's go ahead and get the case out. Now we got the motherboard nice and prepped. Everything's good on that. Set that off to the side. Let's go ahead and slide off these side and back panels. So these are nice, nice panels. They actually have some nice noise insulation on them. Hey, what's up? Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you stopping by. All right, there we go. Looks like we're just got ranked on TikTok, so hey, thank you everybody for coming through. And yeah, so basically it's got some nice noise dampening material on these ones, which is great. Like I said, these are going in the office. We don't need anything fancy Windows RGB for this. I think I've seen your name before. I'm pretty sure I've seen it is either another live or it's been from some videos. It's been a little while since I've been live, so it's been trying to catch up. Remind me maybe what we talked about, because that would probably make things a lot easier. So behind us, we have a nice little bag here. We're going to go ahead and pop out. This is going to have all of the screws that we need. Really, we only need one set of screws and then the zip ties. Everything else we pretty much will just discard or save for another situation in the future. We chatted about, you're about your PC. Is the 6700 XT and Ryzen 5 5600 a good combo? Yeah, so if you're looking for a good deal, that is a pretty good combo still, because you're going to get those 5600s are gotten really cheap. So if you can get those either used or cheap, it's a really great deal. We're getting a bunch of questions. Okay, let me pull this up for us. All right, yeah, and then the 6700 XT, those have dropped. I am big time when it comes to the price. So 6700 XT, if you can get them again, maybe look even used, you can save a lot of money right now because people are starting to get rid of them as this next generation is starting to be released. Does my Intel i5 need an AIO cooler, or can it just run on the stock cooler? You may want to, it depends. What i5 is it? That actually will help. Oh, shoot, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I remember we talked a long time ago. I know, I do need to make a Discord server. Yeah, I've been so busy lately. I'm so sorry about that. We need to talk. Let's talk about the Discord server, because I do want to build one out, because I think it would be a great way to help a lot of people, you know, very easily, because we can have a lot more community build out, which I would be really excited to work on. So let's work on that for sure. Nice and clean, yeah, for sure. This is gonna be a nice and clean build here. So let's grab our I/O shield. We did forget to grab that. We don't need any SATA cables. Also, I'll tell you, M.2 drives have made things super clean for basic builds, for sure. Oh, you did? Okay, I'll have to look through my DMs. I get quite a few these days with, and a lot of it's spam, so sometimes it kind of gets grouped together when I'm trying to look through them. So I'll try to look through them, or maybe send me another one after this stream and we can talk, because I do want to go ahead and get that Discord server built out, and I'm going to need some help managing it, and I think we talked about that previously. So let's go ahead and get this motherboard installed. I'll flip you guys over to the top-down cam. Okay, 3600. Okay, you need at least, okay, you're definitely gonna want either a AIO or you're gonna want, you know, a large, you know, heatsink. You're not gonna be able to get away with just the stock cooler. Definitely go with something a little bit better. You gotta probably go with, at the bare minimum, something like a Noctua NH12 US. That's one of them, or a U12S. Those are really great coolers. They are like 120 millimeter fan cooler. Pretty nice as far as like an air cooler. But at 13600, you may want to even consider like a 240 millimeter AIO. In that case, I'd probably recommend something like the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2. Those are great coolers. They are a little wider when it comes to the radiator thickness, but they're very nice, and they work really well with LGA 1700 CPUs. So I do like those ones quite a bit. And they're actually not too expensive. If you want something with like a screen or something, then you can go look at like NZXT or Corsair, or there's a couple other brands that are kind of coming on the market. Oh, yeah. Even then, I wouldn't go with the small cooler on that type of CPU. You're pushing a lot of heat through something like that. So I would go look at stepping it up a little bit, at least to a hey Greg, thanks for coming by. Yeah, at least step up your cooler. Yeah, at least step up your cooler by, you know, either a larger air cooler or go to like a 240 millimeter AIO. That's going to give you a little better headroom, a little longer boost clocks, because these 13th generation CPUs get really hot. Is the NZXT H5 good? I believe they have an airflow version. I'll double check which case that is. But let's see, NZXT H5. Let's see. NZXT H5. Okay, so if it's the H5 Flow, I do like that case. I've worked in that one, I believe, one other time. Was a big fan of it, but I haven't done a personal build I've done for somebody. It's been like somebody worked on it and I ended up picking up the build halfway. So I haven't had the full experience with it, but what I've worked with it and everything I've seen, the H5 Flow is probably a great case, depending on your situation. So yeah, we got these, all this, everything is now screwed into place. Let's go ahead and pre-wire this system. I talk about this all the time. What I like to do when I'm building PCs is what I call pre-wiring. Basically, what it is I first get rid of any twist ties, because I absolutely hate twist ties in computers. Is this still a 11600K system? No, this is a 13400. That's what the system is here. For AC, I think his system was a 13600K though. So that's why I was saying we need a probably 240 millimeter AIO at that point. Yeah, so, all right, so basically what I'm gonna do is get rid of all these twist ties, because they are definitely should not be in computers. I would really like to see manufacturers just get rid of them altogether. It would be a nice improvement. And then what I like to do here is I like to go ahead and run all of anything that's gonna be related to the front panel connector. So I'm gonna pass through my USB 3.0, and then I believe HD audio also has to get passed through now. So I'll pass that through onto the other side. And then I'll do the front panel connectors. And then what I can do, so that we can go ahead and get everything plugged in. These are not labeled. Okay, so they are labeled right there. Okay, so we just need power switch and power LED. Power LED on this board is closer to me for a positive. So it's going to be positive. Let's see. We're going to go positive, and then we're going to go negative. Let's get these grouped together. Yeah. Do you need to put a Bluetooth card in? Oh, okay, I got to see what you're saying there. So some motherboards, if talking about Bluetooth cards, so Bluetooth cards are really only necessary if your motherboard does not have a built-in Bluetooth card already in place. So that's something to always keep in mind when you are building out a system. Usually if it has Wi-Fi on board, it also has, it's going to have something like Bluetooth as well. Most cards, they use a pretty much there's a pretty standard NIC that most boards will actually use. And they kind of slot in just like a little M.2 drive, and that's what gives you your functionality. So let me see what you guys are saying. I'm sorry about that. Do you need to put a Bluetooth card into, if you want Bluetooth in your PC? So it's a motherboard or it can be external. So it really just depends on your situation. For instance, like this board does not have Bluetooth. So if they wanted Bluetooth, we can either put in the Bluetooth card, or in that case, you can get a USB Bluetooth adapter. They're super cheap on Amazon, and you're good to go. By the way, I'm in Greece on vacation. It's 4 a.m. Hey, well, at least I give you you got something to go ahead and watch. So, but thank you so much for watching. Let's see. Yeah, there's a USB thing. Yeah, it can be worth it. I mean, if that's really, it depends. Do you need Wi-Fi? Let me ask you that. If you need Wi-Fi, because you're gonna be, if you need Wi-Fi as well, like a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card, like a decent one, you're gonna be spending like 30 bucks. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. You kind of have to weigh that type of thing out. Like where like if it's a $30 difference and it's convenient, you might be able to have, it may be worth it, just go ahead and get a board right the first time. So get something with everything. I mean Ethernet. Yeah, so because you have Ethernet built in. So just keep all that in mind. What I'm also going to do right now is I'm going to flip you guys around. So, hey, what would you do with the PC type in chat? What will you do with the PC type in chat? Basically, this PC. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read what you said. What do you do with the PC type in chat? Oh, well, this PC is basically being built specifically for specifically for an office that's going to be using this for mainly it's a proprietary cloud-based software, and that's kind of where this system is going to be sitting. It's going to be an office environment running a cloud-based service. Mainly, it's going to be actually for closer to more medical purposes to kind of give you guys a better what these systems are being built out for. Yeah, so that's kind of what this system is made for. It's going to be running a piece of software. It's actually not too complex. I went ahead and tested with it, talked to the manufacturer, all the specs and everything, just to make sure everything is perfect for the customer. And yeah, it's a pretty light piece of software on the system. We really just built the system out to have plenty of room for if they decide to change which software they're using. It also gives them room for, longevity, and then they also get great startup times, great uptime when it comes to like the SSD. For instance, when you go with the NVMe SSD, you're going to get this great startup times, great load times, even if you're using something cloud-based. And every single system on this, in this office are all going to be directly wired. I was actually over there today putting in all of the Ethernet, working on that. Hello everyone, first time seeing the live stream here. Hey, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. I've seen you comment on some videos before, so thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. Let's see, what else you got? You guys are saying some stuff. I have a LAN cable, but I use it for my PS5. I don't want to keep switching over. Yeah, get a switch. A 4-port switch is $10. Basically, that's where you go. It's worth it. If you need to, DM me and I'll send you one that I use all the time. Yeah, so let's see what else you got. Hey, I appreciate you saying hello. You could Google Ethernet. Yeah, exactly. They have a switch is basically a type of splitter that allows you to have multiple devices off of one connection. For instance, I had to put in 2 24-port switches today at an office because we have at least 36 drops. So basically we need all those to be active. So off of the router, we have connections going in to that switch to go ahead and give Ethernet throughout the entire office, so everything can be connected. But a couple of those spots will have multiple devices where it wasn't practical to run any more than 2 drops per location, where we'll have to just use a small 4-port switch to go ahead and give additional ports. So for Ethernet. So there we go. Let's go ahead and take this plastic off. You can do that now. And then all we got to do is get our power supply in, and then this system, we can test it and move on to the next one. We are going a little slower than I thought we would be going, But let's go ahead and get this power supply out. Did prep these a little bit to make things faster, and we'll get working. So let's pop this out. So I do love Seasonic power supplies. They can be pricey, I will tell you that. But if you can get a deal on a Seasonic power supply, the Seasonic power supplies are typically going to outlast everything else in your entire system. It's failing to run. Let's see, I'll take a look at what you said in just a minute. Let's grab some screws. Got the power supply. Yeah, so Seasonic power supplies I'm a huge fan of. I use them all the time whenever I can at a reasonable price. If there's a deal like this one, these I was able to find a pretty good deal on. So this ended up being a perfect fit. They're usually pretty quiet, they're reliable, don't have a lot of issues with them. So have I played with any of the Intel Arc video cards? I have played with a couple customers who've gotten one, but personally, I have gone back and forth buying one like a bunch of times. Like I want to buy one and I'm just going to make videos on it. Just haven't had a bunch of time to play around with them. I'm thinking about buying one probably within the next month or so. And I'll definitely buy one at the start of the next generation of Intel Arc GPUs, just because I want to be able to make a whole video series on it and everything. So it'll be more for that, more those purposes. And then kind of just inform you guys around Intel Arc and all that stuff. So let me go ahead and slide this power supply in. You guys can, it's kind of hard to show this part, but let's see. Can I get this guy in here? Oh, you know what? There's a little cover for 2.5-inch drives. It actually blocks the power supply from sliding in. That's why it wasn't going in. Let me see if I can show you. Basically, there was a 2.5-inch drive cover right here, and it was blocking the actual power supply from going in. I was like, why is that not going in? And then it was just something super simple. Do you have a 3090 Ti, by the way? And I'm looking for my i5 30. 3090 Ti is going to be pretty much bottlenecked by your i5 right there. Bottlenecks exist in every situation, but that's a pretty bad one. I did tell you. I wouldn't go anything above like matching that CPU with maybe above a 3080. That's already. Hey, thanks for coming by. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's get this guy. All right, let's get this screwed in. Getting the power supply in. I'm gonna buy one as soon as they get their drivers. Honestly, it looks like the drivers have gotten really good. That's why I have almost bought one a few times, because all I see is great things with like the drivers are finally getting figured out. There's a lot of like slow movement, and I've talked to a couple people at Intel about them, and it sounds like it's getting there. It's taking a little bit of time, but eventually we'll be there. Oh, you're getting an i9. Okay, if you're getting an i9, then you should be fine. No, I don't think the 5600 is going to bottleneck your 6700 XT. That's going to be a pretty good match. It's both mid-range CPU, GPU. You're not going to be hit too hard when it comes to any kind of bottlenecks. Both of them could see a little bit of either direction. So I really don't think you're going to be hit too hard by any kind of bottleneck going between like a 5600 and a 5700. You're not going to have a huge bottleneck when it comes to that with that GPU that you're talking about. All right, so we got a bunch of cables. Let's clean these up. We really only need 2 cables for this entire build, which is why I wish I did choose a modular power supply, but did not fit the budget that we were trying to hit for this system. So let's go ahead and tidy up every single cable that we will not be using, which is basically everything except for the 24 pin and then the 24 pin and 8 pin. So let me grab a zip tie right here, and I will go ahead and get that all zipped down together, and then we'll go ahead and be good with the first system to go ahead and plug in the remaining cables. So let's go ahead and slide that back into power supply basement. We're going to run our 8 pin up through the top, and then I'll plug that in on the other side. It's kind of a hard one to show, so I'm just going to plug it in right here. And let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, puts the Yeah, put the Intel GPU in the AMD system. I don't know. I might just have to do that for a video now. So, what case do you recommend for 4060 Ti? I don't know what motherboard size I have. Okay, well, that's going to be the main thing. If you, depending on your motherboard, you know, so your case is going to be dependent more on your motherboard rather than your GPU. So that's kind of the things you're going to have to figure out. For instance, I just built probably one of my favorite systems I've ever done. And you guys can check out the full video on YouTube. And the Thermaltake Tower 200. Here, let me turn this on. I made a couple videos on it. But this system back here, really cool. I got a 4060 in there. It's a mini ITX and mini ATX case, or a micro ATX case. It looks super cool. I might be able to drop it out a little bit so you guys can see. Pick it up. So yeah, this system, super cool. I absolutely love that build. It's probably my favorite one I've done in a really long time. So it was a lot of fun. Building that out. So yeah, I mean, if you know what motherboard size you have, or if you can figure out what motherboard you do have, I can figure out the size and give you some recommendations. If you, to be safe and you just want to, for any size, I love, like, for a basic case, you know, like the Fractal, the actual full-size version of this case. So the Fractal Pop Air. They have a couple different versions, different color schemes. Really nice cases when it comes to something, you know, nice and basic, but still giving you plenty of airflow. Also built really well. I've never had any issues with it. So that's kind of like an option there. If you want to go kind of something more unique, the Tower series from over from Thermaltake has been really fun to work with. You know, kind of like a showcase piece, especially if you kind of want to showcase it in your setup. Something you can definitely consider there. But yeah, it really depends on the size of your motherboard. If you know what motherboard you have, I can help you out. Because the motherboard and GPUs really don't. The motherboard matters the most when it comes to your case selection. If you need something else, you want maybe more of another type of showcase PC. There's stuff like the Height Y40. That's another great looking case, depending on what you need. Is it for sale? That system, I haven't really decided if I'm going to sell it or not. It might just end up being a decorative piece or something I use for like a secondary gaming system, or maybe even my streaming rig. But like, I have that POC system I have in the back. I've been using it in the background of my videos. Let's see, did I get it? The POC. That was a really cool case. That's really, nobody's probably ever going to, not many people will end up buying it, but probably one of the coolest concepts that I got to actually build. And I did a live stream on that one. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that, but basically you actually fold the entire case together like origami. It's like, basically it gives you instructions how you fold it. You fold all the panels, comes from like a pizza box. Really cool case, the Inwind POC. So that's a really cool case. Something that, you know, hopefully we can see more interesting stuff like that in the future. I'm really excited to go back to hopefully CES this year, see more stuff like that from places like Inwind. So let's go ahead and fire this system up because it is ready to go. Make sure everything's working. Fans on. All of them are. See if we get some display. And then we'll go ahead and move on. I'm going to buy one. Yeah, okay, sure. Hey Matt, I have a DDR5 AM5. Okay. CPU memory change. Let me grab a little USB dongle. Looks like the system's working. We'll check it. So you have a DDR5 AM5 with Ryzen 5 7600X and 6800 XT. Let's go ahead and just, let's see. All right, cool. So we got 13400, 16 gigabytes of RAM, storage 500. All right, cool. Okay, so you have a 6700 XT and a Radeon 6800 XT. I think I will get FSR3, or is that only on the 7900 XTX only? I think it's FSR3 is related to 7000 series cards. Might be wrong in that. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head from what I remember. But yeah, so this system's good to go. Let me go ahead and just screw everything back into place, and we can go ahead and just tidy this system up, and all we got to do from there is we'll install Windows on this stuff later, because it's going to be kind of a little bit of a tricky situation with how this one gets set up, with these systems get set up, because it being an office environment. So we do have to deal with that later. But in the meantime, we can close it up, and we get the honors doing that right now, which in this case is just super easy. Absolutely love it. This is actually really simple build, but it's great to play around with, and the hardware is easy to work with. So, and this system's gonna be so quiet. they're not even. I don't even know if they're gonna realize that these systems are even running, which is nice. Thanks, Matt. Gonna lurk in the background. Love the audio description. Hey, absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, if you have any questions, just ask. Let's see. Okay, micro ATX. So they have micro ATX. So if you want to showcase, the Tower 200 is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool case. Yeah, and that's probably where that's like the coolest showcase PC. Tower 200 from Thermaltake's really cool. There is a non-silent version of the Fractal Pop Mini Fractal Pop Mini Air, which is the Air version with the tempered glass side panel. That's a really nice package. Same size as this case, basically with a glass panel here, front ventilation, top ventilation. Really nice system. I might be able to have a couple more recommendations. If you want to DM me, I'll send you some more. But there's a few other good cases out there on the market for like micro ATX. I'm actually working on a couple. One of them I'm actually going to be testing out soon. ASUS has their motherboard, which is their Prime motherboard, which is actually going to be pretty interesting. It's actually going to be a really fun video, because I think I got something really cool planned for, if you guys saw some of my recent Alienware videos, they have a new Alienware system, and I think we're going to be able to show how much you're missing out going with that system compared to building it yourself. Let me see. Let's go ahead and get our next case and our next system ready. So let's go ahead and slide this system out. There we go. All right, got the case out. And go ahead and pull off the panels. And I'll catch up with all you guys' comments in just a second. Gonna have to read through everything. All right, plastic is off. All right, so this is gonna be case number 2. Move this out of the way. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys are saying. All right, you gonna take a nap? All right, we'll get some rest. Hi, can I work with you? I'm not sure. I mean, we're not really hiring anybody right now. I'm not sure what your skill set is, but depending on what you're looking for, I mean, we don't really have a bunch of openings at this time. So, but thank you so much for offering. Anyways, cool vids, appreciate your content. Hey, I appreciate you watching. That makes all this possible. Can you recommend any GPU CPU pairings? Well, it's going to depend budget. What do you want to spend? Because if you want to go high end, I'm going to tell you basically go, 4090 and i9 13900K. So, yeah, what are you looking like mid range? That's kind of depends. If you want latest generation, possible you want to go last generation. It's kind of a couple things you have to keep in mind. So like good mid-range, like possible to run any game that you would want. I have a 12700K looking for the GPU. Okay, good balance, 4070 or the new 7800. Then yeah, the new 7800 would probably be a good fit. Because you're looking probably i7 last gen, you're probably going to be looking at mid-upper range this gen. That's usually how I kind of like to look at it. So maybe if you're going to go NVIDIA, probably like somewhere between the 4070 and 4070 Ti, 4070 to 4080. If you're going to go on AMD, and if you're going to go AMD, I'd probably look at the new stuff that just got released. So the 7800 is going to be a pretty good value. That's kind of right at that same price point of the 4070, designed to really beat it out with performance. So that might be a great option for you. Are there many reasons why my PC server wouldn't start? Well, it depends. Do you get lights in any kind of indication or anything like that? Because that kind of also indicate things. So if you get power to your system but you get no display, it means kind of one thing compared to if your system seems to be getting stuck at a certain point. So let's go ahead and get this case for the next build going. Slide these panels off to the side. Let's get a drive. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got to get one of these, one of these. Let's grab a motherboard, a CPU, and a kit of memory. There we go. All right, let's get working. All right, it just restarts. It just restarts like after 5 minutes. So it runs for 5 minutes and then shuts down. Sounds like a heat issue, to be honest. Normally when you get something where the system just shuts off out of nowhere, you're usually looking at some kind of possible heat-related issue because heat will cause your system to shut off unexpectedly. So I would check your temperatures. Just make sure everything's in line there before you go ahead and really mess around too much with a bunch of other stuff. Make sure that the system is running at a reasonable temperature 5 minutes in. Use a tool like HW Monitor. That's what I usually recommend to use. Super easy to use. Easy to use application. You can kind of keep track of what the temperatures are while you kind of start up your initialized task. From there, if it's still not resolving what you're looking for, then kind of my next steps would be to kind of look for other key indications. So in the case of, there we go, put that right there. Check the CPU cooler and case cooler. Okay, yeah, if you check the cooler, that doesn't always mean anything. And yeah, the angle is pretty cool. I do like this one. But when it comes to the actual coolers and stuff like that, that doesn't always indicate the system's health. You actually really want to look at if there's a particular, if there's a particular issue with the actual heat being generated, because the fans could be running, but you could have dried up thermal paste, and then all of a sudden your system's overheating. You could have where it's not making proper contact, so that's just something to keep in mind. And it doesn't display anything. So after 5 minutes, it doesn't display anything, or you never get anything. That's kind of the thing to keep in mind. Let's see, love the camera angle. Hey, awesome. Hey, I also see might be an issue. If display is an issue, yeah, it does sound kind of like a heat-related issue from what I can see. Is there, yeah, and it can also be RAM, power supply, depending on the situation. So, but you said it was up for 5, does it run, like you can have a display for 5 minutes, or do you not have any display at all? And then it shuts down. Because that's kind of two different things there too. What is that board? Yeah, so this is a really basic board. This is the MSI Pro B750M-P. It's really designed to be kind of more of a professional board. So it's going to be more for like basic workstations where they're not going to need a ton of VRM cooling. Like I said, it is basically none at this case, but it's not 100% necessary for this specific use case. Again, this system is not gaming, and if you really were gonna push more power than something like a 13400, maybe I would consider something a little better. Glad to see your chat engaged. Hey, thank you, I appreciate it. I don't have super chat engaged just yet. Probably next week. We'll see. I gotta wait and see if YouTube will let me turn that on soon. Yeah. So let's go ahead and pop that on. Let's go ahead and pop the cooler. Now these are not twisted right. Normally these are always twisted right out of the factory. Come on. Push that down. There we go. And there we go. All right, everything's good there. Let's plug in our CPU fan. Can't boot, nothing, no input. What mat do you have? Okay, so this is the ModMat Extreme. ModMat Extreme from ModRite. I have a link. I'll get you. I don't have a link available. I know I have it on my like link in bio area where you can check that out. Followed from TikTok. I've been watching for a while. Appreciate it. Basic is the keyword. Absolutely. This is definitely a very basic motherboard. But yeah, anyways, back to the server. No display or anything, but just shuts down after 5 minutes. Well, 5 minutes, that's kind of the normal timeout time. So that's usually like the system, like for instance, your system will shut off or go to sleep. Does it seem like it's shutting off, or does it like go to sleep after 5 minutes? Because if it goes to sleep after 5 minutes, that actually might not be as big of an issue, because 5 minutes is basically where, let's for instance, you don't log in to Windows. After 5 minutes, the system will like just shut off. You all of a sudden just see power turn off. That happened with this system earlier. Oh, I think we just disconnected from TikTok for a second. Let's see if it connects. I think we're still good on YouTube, so I'm not sure why it's acting up. TikTok's being weird. All right, let's see. Let me see if I can fix that. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to fix TikTok. I'm not sure why it's being weird. Hey, Beard Knowledge, how you doing? Wait, let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to fix this. Let's see. Yeah, for instance, that was weird. Okay, yeah, anyways, hey, Beard Knowledge, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. I love seeing you coming by. It's really cool. How have you been? Hope you're doing well and everything. So let's take a look. Yeah, clicking keyboard and everything. Do you get any, for instance, can you press caps lock on your keyboard? Check that. It's always something to do. Working right now. Cool. What are you working on? You got any cool projects? Anything interesting that viewers might want to hear about? Just let me know, because I always love to talk, especially anything related to tech. You know, that's really what these builds are for. More or less just the information side of things, answering questions, but also kind of just being able to talk tech with everybody, because that's really the most fun part about it. New camera placement plan. Okay, cool. All right, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. So, what kind of system are you working with there? New cameras, yeah. So, yeah, new cameras. What are you running for the like infrastructure for it? Let's go ahead and let's move some stuff out of the way a little bit. Let's take a look. Budget got approved. So, nice. That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, it's always kind of fun when you get, like, for instance, when I get like these build outs and all of a sudden I get like, okay, access, all right, cool. Yeah, when I get these build outs like this stuff right here, like, you know, depending on the approval, like it can be a lot of fun. Like just when you get to, especially when a company tells you, hey, just do it right. You know, you get to do, it's always kind of fun to kind of build out those type of setups. It's much harder on the systems where you're working on a tight budget, because you can definitely get just tied up just trying to cut as much cost possible. But when you can work on like a nice setup on for businesses where they're just kind of like they want it done right the first time, it does make a world of difference. So let's see, where am my mouse? Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, so that load for a second. Okay, all right. So the motherboard is good. Move this stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and get this installed in the case. All right. Do you build PCs and ship them to customers? I don't do a ton of shipping out systems to people. I'd like to increase that. Most of my builds end up being for people pretty local, just out of the convenience, because shipping is expensive. Like I can do systems for people, and I can ship them. It's just shipping is just the one thing that it's expensive. Anything heavy and large, like a PC case, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for. So if somebody wants a system, I'm happy to build it out for you guys. But just something to keep in mind is shipping will be an added cost to any kind of system build, which is kind of unfortunate. But you know what? That's really the only way for me to get it out to somebody any further than like a 15-20 mile radius. He shipped to Germany. Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to double check. I don't think it would be an issue. I'd have to double check with any regulations going out there. But most of the stuff I've only shipped to the U.S. We can, if you're looking for something, we can talk and we can talk after the stream and see if there's some way for us to do it. I just have to make sure there's no limitations for shipping there or anything I gotta go ahead and abide by in addition to the stuff I have to do here, because I know that's one of the dangers of shipping out of the country. Shipping is a whole game. See, yeah, it can be exactly like I said. Shipping a system, unless you're doing high volume, it's really, unless you're doing really high volume, it's tough to ship a PC, unless it's like a small form factor system. But even then, the weight is what kills you, because if it has to go, unless it's like ground shipping is really more about size. When you come to like air shipping and stuff like that, weight becomes a huge factor. So it just depends. It depends on the situation and stuff like that. I'm happy to do it, but again, we just have to weigh costs into it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I got a bunch of other questions. Let me see what you guys are saying over here on YouTube. Got to make sure I get you guys taken care of. There's a couple questions. Basic as a keyboard. Okay. Okay, so I got a PC that was built to sell it. It has an MSI B550, a Ryzen 7 3700X. We got a RX 6750 XT, 2 terabyte, 660 megabyte per second crucial. That's probably a P5 Plus drive, if I had to guess. 16 gigabytes of 3200 RAM and a 750 watt power supply. I'm wanting about 1250. Oh, that's a little too much. You're gonna be stretching a little bit. I would probably say you're not gonna be able to get more than, I mean, right now, at least in my market where I'm at, because that's used, right? I would probably consider like somewhere between 800 to 1,000, depending on how, what the market is in your area. Because again, that really determines a lot of things. For instance, if you're going to be buying, if you're buying and selling PCs in a local market, what people are willing to spend in one area is completely different than somewhere else. So it can be much harder. Let's see. All right, you got to see. Yeah, I would probably, let's see. Yeah, shipping's expensive. Where else are you streaming? Yeah, I'm also streaming on TikTok. So I got people on both. So I'm trying to respond to both you guys as I go through it. Make sure I'm answering as many questions as possible. Now I'm gonna build a second workspace keyboard, going with Triangle ATX case from Amazon, because it's more about the display. Yeah, if you have a kind of a more display system, you can kind of play around with fun cases. There's one I'm working on where like the front actually has a screen. It's gonna be pretty cool. I'll be doing a build and everything on that pretty soon, so you guys will like that. Yeah, budget. Yeah, if you could try to keep it pretty low, about 1,000. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would. If you're talking about like for a used system, you really can't charge for labor. If you're buying a new system, you can, because it's more of the convenience factor for somebody. PC, not keyboard. Okay, yeah, okay. No worries. Anyways, yeah, but basically, if you're trying to sell a PC, and you're doing it a used system, don't charge for labor. You're not going to. You've already used the system, unless the parts were used and you're just trying to make a profit. Your profit margin is really where your labor cost is. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Yeah, and so that's just something to think about when you're working with that. All right, so we got the motherboard in. Let's get to work. Let me flip you guys over to main camera. There's only like a couple used parts. I mean, what'd you spend on it brand new? What was your build cost? Because think about it that way. And I'll give you kind of an idea. And where are you located to? Because that may also help me get an idea of what the market probably would be for the labor for somebody to build it. I just built my first PC today. That's awesome. Super happy to hear that. You're 14. That's awesome. What kind of the specs of the new system that you just built? I'd love to even see if you want to DM it to us. Happy to take a look at it and just kind of let you know our thoughts. And I'd love to do like some rating of your guys' systems. About 700. Yeah, 700. If you're 700 in, I'm thinking maybe 850. Depending on where you are. Depending, and is that including tax and stuff like that? Because remember, don't get hit by tax, because sometimes lying around. Okay, 700. Okay, well, that's kind of what you got to do. Is you got to evaluate what it would cost for somebody to build it, and then work off of that. That's usually the best way to price out a system. So if they're going to build the same system, if it was going to cost them, I don't know, let's say $700, maybe add somewhere between $50 and $150 of really where you want to list it, and try to hit somewhere between like that $75 and $100 price point for the build, depending on where you are, because people are going to try to negotiate with you, especially if you're selling. There's a pic of it on your YouTube. The cost was $1,600. Oh, cool. Yeah, sure. You can DM it to us on Instagram. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming by. Man, I'm trying local before I try eBay. Yeah, I really would hesitate from eBay. You're gonna get hit also by 10%. You're gonna have a 10% selling cost. There's a lot more things you have to deal with when you go through eBay. Try to sell it local whenever you can. You will make way more money, even if you have to sell it at a cheaper price. I guarantee it. There's very few people that actually make a lot of money off of selling PCs on somewhere like eBay, just because eBay, they take fees, and that additional processing fee, although it gives you the convenience of being able to sell it somewhere, it's not worth it for most people, particularly if you have depending on how big your market is. I think Amazon is 20. Oh, for selling on Amazon? Yeah, depending on where you're selling, you can have some really high processing fees. If you probably sell a product on Amazon, you're probably going to be paying a hefty premium, I would imagine. Yeah, I think theirs is 25% or something like that. It's pretty high. I know Amazon but it all depends on also your contract with them. So like if you're selling things through Amazon, you're going to have very different cost than like somewhere like eBay, where eBay is going to be something like, I believe I'm pretty certain it's about 10%. It's average is about 10% from my experience. All right. All right, cool. Let's see what your specs are. Like the 790p motherboard. I have to check it out again. i5, 4070, H7 Elite case, Corsair RAM, power supply. That's awesome. Hey, sounds like a nice solid system right there. Let's go ahead and get our power supply out. Let's get that installed. And we'll be done with system number 2 in just a few minutes, looks like. Let's go ahead and just set that off to the side. Rip this out of its plastic. Blue screen of death. Well, blue screens of death are going to give you some kind of indication in most cases. So first thing you want to do, figure out if there's any kind of error code that's coming up. If there is an error code, go ahead and check that and correspond that with the actual issue. Critical process died. Can be a number of different things. That one, most cases, is some kind of operating system corruption. After it restarts 3 times, it should try to go to system repair. After that happens, you should be able to go to, I believe, advanced options. You can try startup repair. Sometimes that will take care of your issue. If it doesn't, you may want to look at doing a system reset. If you can't, or try booting into like safe mode, see if the system will load into safe mode first, and then kind of work from there. So like I said, at 3 times your system will boot into basically kind of like a recovery mode. At that point, you can try startup repair. If startup repair doesn't work, go to like change your boot option, and you can basically switch to booting to basically I would probably do safe mode with networking. That way you can see if the system will load up. That will basically get rid of any kind of like weird driver issues. And if the system does work there in safe mode, you will be in a much better shape. Because for something like safe mode, it allows you to basically go around if maybe you have a bad driver or a bad update that possibly caused some kind of weird startup issue, especially if it's coming on system. Okay, safe mode doesn't work. So yeah, you're probably dealing with a much larger Windows corruption issue at that point if even safe mode doesn't work. You can try seeing if you can boot to another device. If you happen to have a USB flash drive, you can try going through the USB flash drive. So using another system, create a USB flash drive, installation media. When you turn the system on, boot onto that flash drive. After you're on that flash drive, you can click, instead of installing, you can click repair my computer and try the actual repair process from there, or safe mode from there. Sometimes it'll actually get you past that. If you're still having issues at that point, it sounds like you may have some kind of larger operating system corruption, which in those type of situations, you're going to be wanting to deal with, you're going to probably be looking at either resetting your system, either back to factory or back to, you try to go to like a restore point. So that's usually the next 2 steps, depending on the situation. Especially if did you have any other issues ahead of time? System reset won't work either. Okay, if system reset doesn't work, you need to do you'll have to do a clean install. So basically do a clean install, create a Windows installation media. And the Windows installation media can be created through Microsoft's website. I'm actually going to be working on a video on how to actually create one, because I do get questions on that all the time. And for instance, in this case, it'd be much easier if I could just tell you to go check out the video. But yeah, basically create the Windows installation media on a flash drive on another system. Once you have that installed on that flash drive, you can boot onto that and then try to install Windows from there. So if you try to reinstall Windows that way, that will allow you don't even know. Okay, maybe DM me after and I can try to explain things a little bit easier. Let's see, what else you guys saying? I'm trying to avoid the online kind of thing right now. Yeah, it just depends where you are. You can get Windows keys cheaper, but I don't. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah, so if you have trouble with it, just let me know. DM me on Instagram. I'll help you out. I'll try to explain it, or maybe I'll even have my video done for how to create that installation media. Because what you're going to have to do, and you would have had to do it the first time you installed Windows. If you didn't install Windows yourself, basically that's how you install Windows, is with a USB installation media. And that will basically allow you to do a clean install. And that'll take care of any kind of weird corruption issues that you may be experiencing. Quick question, Intel or Radeon graphics? Well, I will tell you right now, Intel's graphics quality, when it comes to discrete GPUs, is not really close on the top end. On the budget side, it's kind of close, but still, you're quite a bit of ways. Yeah, but if your system doesn't even allow you to boot to safe mode, SFC is not going to make a difference, unfortunately. Yeah, or you do the old school way of a CD. But USB flash drives are just probably the easiest way to do it these days. But yeah, I'm debating if that's going to be my weekly long form video this week or not. It's either that one, or I got a couple other ones I'm working on, and I'll probably run it by you guys. So I have a system where another flip system I want to go ahead and talk about. Yeah, we tried safe mode, and that didn't seem to be working. It didn't sound like that worked for him either. But yeah, so some of the ideas I have for this week's content, for my long form video of the week, I'm either going to work on one, creating those installation media, because I get so many questions about that. So maybe either that video, or we'll be looking at maybe a video more around the idea of, I have another flip video that I have kind of lined up. I have all the parts. So we're going to build that out and maybe flip it. Or we also have another system right here that's also going to be a flip that I got a really great deal on that I think you guys are going to absolutely love once I have kind of show you my plans with it. So this system right here, I ended up getting really good deal on it. Basically, got it off of like a trade credit for another system. That was another flip. So I ended up basically moving from one flip to another while making a profit at the same time and picking up a system. I think all we got to do in that system is upgrade the GPU in it, and I think maybe the memory, and I think it's going to basically be perfect. I think it will sell really quick because it's going to be able to be at a really affordable price. I'll do where do I do what? I'm sorry, I didn't get that part. No save mode. Perfect. Okay, because I'm gonna get. Okay, let's see. What would you say over here? Quick question. Yeah, for a laptop. Okay, for a laptop. I mean, AMD's graphics are gonna be still a little bit better. Yeah, we are building some PCs today. So we're doing some workstations for a customer of mine. And basically we're building out for their office. So that's kind of what we're working on here today. We got 8 of them. We're on PC number 2. Moving a little slower than I would have expected, but we've had a bunch of great conversations, so it's been worth it. But we'll get through these. Yeah, so let's see what else. Other questions. Oh yeah, so for a laptop, I still probably prefer AMD's graphics over Intel's because I'm going to get a framework laptop. Okay, yeah, well, I would probably go with the AMD version. Yeah, I would go with the AMD version. That's where I would, if you're gonna do anything that's graphically intensive, AMD's built-in graphics are much better on their processors, even on laptops, than Intel's, at least at this point. Currently, I don't know if that'll always be the case, but right now in 2023, in the last few years, they have been. Team ready? Yeah, there you go. Should I buy a framework laptop? Honestly, framework laptops, from my experience, have been great. I mean, I haven't had people complaining about them. I've had some customers buy some, and they seem to be really nice. I would like to probably get my hands on one, play around with it, just to know for sure, just so before I give my full go-ahead. But from everything I've heard, from my experience talking with people about them, everybody seems to be pretty happy with them. Am I missing something? Oh, I forgot to plug in their 24 pin. That's what I was doing. So let's go ahead and plug that in right there. Completely forgot about that. All right. So, long day. Let's go ahead and slide this guy into place and pop that down. And there we go. So our 24 pin is now installed. Plug in power, make sure the system works. All right. Grab a keyboard. And we got fans running. So let's go ahead and take a look. All my builds are AMD. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just depends. I mean, if you enjoy AMD products, just go with it. I mean, I think Intel has some great offerings, but when it comes to graphical elements, just something to keep in mind. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Hey, thank you so much for the roses. I really appreciate it. Any RTX builds? So I did a RTX build with this system back here. There's a bunch of videos on it. I have some short form videos on TikTok, and then I got a full long form video guide over on YouTube you can check out. Really cool all white system in the Tower 200 from Thermaltake. Really cool case, super fun to work in. So that's kind of been a that was a really cool build we recently did that had some an RTX GPU. So we got 16 gigabytes of memory, 500 gigabytes of storage. This system is now good. Everything is working. On this system, let's move on to the next one. All right. So let's put these panels back. Are installing Windows easy? Yeah, installing Windows is a pretty simple process. You basically once you have your USB plugged in, you're booting from it. There's not really a whole lot besides clicking, following the prompts that it gives you. And they do make it very, very easy. Way easier than they probably even need to. So let's go ahead and just pull this little the plastic off before I close this system up and put it away. So we can go ahead and move on to build number 3. There's pull some plastic. Let's go ahead and pull that plastic there. And let's go ahead and put this side panel on. The side panels are actually a little heavy on this system because it does have that noise dampening foam for this build, but I do like that, especially for the office environment this is going in. Are there any cleaning service on your website, like for cleaning out PCs and stuff like that? Yeah, I mean, we're really only doing a lot of local stuff right now. So, I mean, it just depends where you're located. Because really the main thing is shipping a PC can be really expensive. All right, let's see. I think we're stuck on that. I'll work on that later. And then go ahead and stick this PC over here. Let's get rid of this box. Let's move on to the next one. Get rid of the garbage. And get some water real quick. So that's what it looked like. Yeah, you're wondering. Okay. Yeah, Windows is always the easiest part. Yeah. Which one are you worried about me testing? That's the question. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the rose. Thank you. Let me grab box opener. Let's get our next case out. Or before we do that, we probably can just build out our motherboard. So we got motherboard, CPU, storage. Ooh, there we go. Everything's coming down. All right, so there they go. All right, so we need storage. Let me just put these back down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. And then I need a kit. I already got a kit of memory, so we'll stick this right up here and move that out of the way. And let's get this going. 20. Oh yeah. Is it 10:15 where you're at? Yeah, it's only 7:15 where I'm located. So, yeah, it's not too late. Not too late for me here. But I appreciate you watching so late. So I assume you are 10:15, so you're East Coast then. Why do people prefer an i5 over an i7? Well, cost. That's why. That's normally the case. Other than that, there's really no other reason. Any other reason doesn't make sense. For instance, like the reason these systems aren't i7s is 1, they don't need the power of the i7, and 2, the cost to go up to the i7 version of this CPU would be an extra $100 per system, which across 8 systems is not necessary. Yeah, you won't get the satisfaction. Yeah. The one you put on the floor. Oh, I did test it. This system did turn on, so that's nice. Yeah, performance per dollar is a great point for why an i5 over an i7. 617. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean it's really about that. I would not say there's really any other like legitimate reason why you wouldn't go with an i7 besides cost of performance. That extra step isn't always necessary. What's the difference between EATX and ATX motherboards? Basically, EATX motherboards are longer, so they're wider. So the ATX form factor, the width, you basically add like an extra like inch or two. So certain cases will support them, but not all of them will. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking at eATX motherboards, because they're not always compatible with every case. If you wish you could full screen this, you can check us out on YouTube if you do want to see it full screen. Full screen over on YouTube, because it does let us do it naturally. We could try to do it vertically, but it just kind of works weird with it. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see. There we go. Let's go ahead and lift up the lever right there. Let's get our CPU installed for system number 3. And we'll go ahead and get this motherboard taken care of. Pop that down. And then, like I always say, hold on to the plastic cover that comes with your motherboard. Don't forget that, because that was always super helpful. That hides the comments. Yeah, if you want to watch it full screen, the easiest way is hop on YouTube. Unfortunately, with how things have to work with vertical video here on TikTok, which I'm fine with, and it makes things nice and easy, but I do wish there was an easier way to cut everything down while having it scaled on both platforms. Yeah, they are massive. The eATX motherboards are massive. Do they have a rotate button now? I didn't even know that. I normally, like creators, we get notifications for new features all the time from TikTok, but I did not know that they added a rotate button. If they did, that's really cool, because I will appreciate it. Honestly, it would make sense now, looking at how the studio looks. They did change something, and I do see why that may actually be the case. So thanks for actually letting me know that. I actually really appreciate that now. Yeah, you can fit them in other cases. There are other cases that do fit eATX motherboards, but like I said, it's limited. You're gonna always have that limitation. You're not gonna be able to pick any case you want. You're gonna have to go with large cases, like you mentioned, the Corsair's Obsidian series cases. So like they're like 7,000, 9,000 series cases. You can go with there's a few Fantex cases that have eATX support. Every manufacturer has at least a case or two that has eATX, but there's very small a number of them. So you're right on there with that. I'm gonna slide that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get our RAM installed. Yeah, if that rotate button's there, that's really cool, actually. That's actually cool. I'm super happy for TikTok to do that. Makes my life a lot easier. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and slot that down. Boom, there we go. All right, now what we're gonna do is get RAM out of the way. Let's get our crucial P3 Plus drive ready to be installed. Let's go ahead and unscrew the cover, and there we go. I do wish these screws were captive, actually, on this motherboard. A lot of other manufacturers will have the screws for the M.2 shield or the heatsink there actually captive and make things nice and easy. And I do appreciate when they do that. So I'd like to see that on maybe the next version of these budget boards. I see why they do it to cut costs, but it's not that expensive to do so. So I'd like to see that in the future. Yes, it is an NVMe drive. So this is an NVMe drive. This is a Crucial P3 Plus drive. So it is NVMe. Runs around 4,700 megabytes per second. So it's pretty fast. Not the fastest drive in the world, but like I said, for this customer, it was the perfect fit for cost to performance wise. The DeWalt screwdriver, it wasn't very expensive. Shoot, I don't actually even know. Let me see if I can find it for you. Let me see. I'm actually curious how much I paid for it. I do want to make a video on talking about all like the tools I use, because I do use a lot of different tools. So let me see. Let me pull up my orders. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to get you that information. Let's see how much that one is. Because I use this electric screwdriver all the time. Yeah, it's $89. $89. But it's awesome. It's like a gyroscope screwdriver. So like you turn it, whatever way you turn your wrist, it basically changes. And how much you change. So if you go, it basically ramps up with how much you like basically adjust your wrist movement. So kind of cool. I don't know. It works for me. I think, oh, the rotate thing works. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Like I said, super happy to see that it works because that's actually a really nice feature. They did not have that before. So I'm actually really happy with that. So that's going to make my life a lot easier to go ahead and create the content for you. It doesn't, like, the spec for everything is a little different. Hey, gamers, welcome. Hey, how you doing? How do I use the fire pilot switch to turn on your PC? You got to build one first. I got a video on how to build one. What they're talking about is this thing right here. I'm going to make another video on these. Basically, you can wire to your motherboard a little fighter pilot switch to turn on your PC. It's pretty cool. Hey, well, I'm glad you enjoy it. You know, and if you need rest, definitely get it. But I really appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me. Let's see what else. What do we got? Yeah, so that's how you use it. You basically plug it into your motherboard just as you're replacing your front panel connector for your power connector. And so that's basically how you handle that there. Let's go ahead and just put this. Let's go. Yeah, so basically that's how you got to handle it. Not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad when it comes to price and everything. It's actually fairly reasonable for if you build a lot of systems. Because like when I'm doing like 8 systems, using a normal screwdriver would just be painful. Or it would just not be fun. All right, let's get this other case out. Let me flip you guys over to, let's get you to the next scene for the next part. 1 second. Let's go ahead. Where is my mouse? Come on. I need to make my stream system closer because it's getting mad with how far my mouse is. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, cool. All right. There we go. Let's go ahead and get this case out of the box. And let's go ahead and get the system number 3 finished up. Or at least try to get it finished up. So let's go ahead and pop the old styrofoam in the box. Yeah, this is a lot of systems here. And we're almost to halfway. So we're getting there. We will probably have to speed up a little bit with what we're working on. Play PC Building Simulator. Yeah, absolutely. PC Building Simulator is pretty fun. Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's all kinds of comments going through. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta scroll back up here. How many watching on TikTok? TikTok, I think we got like, we've been sitting around like 10 people around there, something like that. It's been going back and forth. Yeah, we're kind of late. If I went earlier, we'd probably have more people. I think TikTok's around 7 as well, so it's kind of like sitting around there. Yeah, these are all going to be sold within. These are already actually sold. The customers already bought them. So here's our case. Fractal Design. Pop Mini Air or Pop Mini Silent is the proper term. Let's go ahead and pop this out. Yeah, same stream, 2 different platforms. Just to make things easy. probably like to add like a third, do like Twitch as well. It's really mainly about just getting it as many places as possible so that as many people can see it. That's really my goal with it, with having it on multiple platforms. Yeah, the second game is definitely more accurate. You're right. It is a lot of fun. Man. Yeah, it is getting late, definitely, for sure. It's about 7:25 here, but, you know, we'll keep working on this until we get all these systems built. So, how often do I go live? It's really whenever I just have, like, a build that makes sense to do live. Pretty much. I don't really have, like, a set schedule. I'd like to do it more. Just really whenever I have either a build or a repair that I know is going to be... a build or repair that's going to take, either a long time or it doesn't make sense to do a video on. That's when I usually end up choosing to do a live. It kind of is related to that situation. So, let's see the case. Yeah, there's not a ton of airflow in this case. It's not really designed to have a bunch of airflow. This one's really a silent focus case. So you have the intake does come. There's very limited intake on this case. It really comes from this side. This CPU doesn't run hot at all. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying? Yeah. What are the specs? Okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. The specs, yeah, so we got a Intel i5-13400. We have 16 gigabytes of Patriot memory, a 500 gigabyte P3 Plus NVMe drive. We have a 500 watt power supply from Seasonic, and then we have the Fractal Pop Mini Silent. Or Pop Mini Silent, I don't know. Their terminology is getting too long. Let's see. Yeah, it is definitely not a ton of airflow. Links in the description. Yeah, absolutely. I do have them in the description. There you go. How much was it? I actually don't remember off the top of my head. They actually weren't. These aren't very expensive systems. These are, again, like I said, workstations. So the hardware cost isn't too bad. Like I think the CPUs, depending if you get them on promotion or not, the CPUs I think you can get them for about 200. Motherboard's about another 100. RAM and storage is another like $60. Then you got something like another $60 for your power supply. This case was a little expensive. I think it was closer to around 80 or 90. A little more of an expensive case. But it's really designed because there's not a lot of all black aesthetic cases out there right now. So we're kind of limited on what I can use, especially in micro ATX. But there's still decent cases. Because I don't really like buying bad cases for customers, especially ones I work with long term. So like I have customers, like businesses I work for, that we have kind of like long form agreements for work I do for them. So in those type of situations, I don't like building anything that's not going to be easy to work on in the future. If it's not going to be practical to work on, we're not built well. It's not worth it. Especially because it's going to end up taking me more time to do a simple fix. So I want to make sure that everything is, taken care of. You can get the 32 gigabytes. Yeah, I mean, you can get 32 gigabytes pretty cheap now. That's, $70 easily, probably even cheaper. I wouldn't doubt it. Man, I've wanted people to really make high-end PCs. The TD500 Mesh V2. TD500. Who makes that again? I'm trying to think which one. There's some nice cases out there, especially high-end ones. Like we did. This was pretty like mid-range. The Thermaltake Tower 200 build. I do have some higher-end builds I'm doing. I have a 7950X build that's coming up, which you guys will definitely enjoy. Am I going live tomorrow? Probably not. I gotta install all these tomorrow. So these are all gonna be done tonight at some point. And I don't plan on, I don't know how much time I'll have tomorrow to go live. I don't think I will. Next time I probably would depending on what I end up doing for this week's video, we definitely, I appreciate that. But yeah, for depending on what I do for next week's video, it's really gonna, or this end of week, so it's usually like a Saturday or Sunday, I like to release a long form piece of content. That will also depend on what I end up doing, like if I do when my next live is. If not, the weekend I might take off, just because it is Labor Day weekend to some extent. We'll still have some content come out, but don't know if I'll have any lives or anything. But never, just depends on what we end up having. Like I said, my lives are really dependent on what I'm working on. Because rebuilding mine is getting boring after a while. Yeah, you're right. So basically I'll tell you, that's kind of the thing, is there's really, rebuilding your own PC can kind of get boring. So, offer to people. Sometimes people just end up needing something. So just offer it, because sometimes, especially if you're very comfortable with building PCs, sometimes people are happy to have you do it. So that's definitely something you can offer to people in the local community. What else are you gonna say? So live tomorrow, probably not, just because I do have something going on tomorrow evening, and tomorrow morning I'm planning on having all these systems installed, which I don't know. I'm thinking of making a video of like installing all of them, but like I'm not sure though. I'm not 100% sure how that would work, but it could be. Oh, Cooler Master's TD500. Okay, I'll take a look at that case. Which one is that? I don't like rebuild unless an upgrade. Yeah, I mean, starting from scratch is kind of fun. Sometimes selling off your components and like starting from scratch is like way more fun than trying to fiddle with old hardware, depending on the situation. But yeah, so I do want to take a look at that case because you did just recommend it. Might have to do a review on it. I'll see if we can get a sample to go ahead and review it, because that would be, sounds like a newer version of what the case you're used to. So I'll take a look at it. Let's see, let's slide this through up here. Get the zip tie in place just to kind of keep our fan cables out of the way. Let's take a look. All right, the Honor Magic V2. I don't do a lot of phone reviews, but I'm always open to it. What thermal paste do I prefer? I typically use Arctic MX6 thermal paste. Arctic MX6, use all the time. So that's kind of my go-to. Been been using that quite a bit. If you're not going to use that, so outside of that thermal paste, I'd probably say going like Thermal Grizzly, like the Cryonaut Extreme is really good. It's just super expensive. So that's why I usually tell people Arctic MX6 is perfect for pretty much most systems. And if you want something more, look at the Cryonaut Extreme. But yeah, I've been super happy with working with Arctic's thermal paste. I've used it for years. It's just kind of gone, their MX6 is really solid. Haven't had issues with it. So I'm happy with it. The temperatures are really pretty much within margin of error, pretty much any other like high-end thermal paste, besides maybe the Cryonaut Extreme, but that's kind of a different price point. So that's kind of something you have to consider, like as a separate, almost like that becomes like a separate large expense to your build. So that's just something to keep in mind. So liquid metal is also another option, but that also comes with, some limitations as well as some, possible dangers working with it. So I don't do a ton of liquid metal on my installs, especially not on customer systems. Like if it's me playing around with it, sure. But when I'm giving it to a customer, I don't really want them to deal with it. World's thinnest. Okay. All right, maybe I'll get one. Maybe I'll get that phone and we'll have to do something with it. Yeah, I got to remember that now. You said the Honor Magic V2. Let me look it up real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's see what you're talking about. You said Honor Magic V2. Don't see it. Honor Magic V2. Let's see what you're talking about. V2. Look this up for you guys. Have you done water cooling? Yeah, absolutely. We've done water cooled PCs. I mean, I've done a lot of different playing around with water cooling and stuff like that. Hey, overclock your fans. Yeah, that is super thin. Oh my gosh. I think that was just released. I don't even know where I can get it, but if I can get one, I might get one. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll do it. But yeah, anyways, liquid metal is, yeah, liquid metal does pretty well. When it comes to, yeah, it does give you nice performance. So I've done some water cooling work before. Don't do it as much. It's really just when a customer requests it. I've done like the cheapest water cooling kit you can buy, videos on that. I actually have one that's set right now. It's been running for the past like 5-6 months, and yeah, it's discolored quite a bit. I'm waiting on some videos coming up. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's not the best thing to do for your system, but it is a lot of fun to tinker. When you have a computer, you know, you have to kind of weigh the risk of different things that you do with it. Just like anything, like you modify a car, you're the same way. You have to take in the risk that you might not have a working car tomorrow if you mess things up too much, but or it may cost you a little bit to get things taken care of. But it is always definitely really cool to play around with some hardware. I built a PC that costs the same as the ones you're building right now together. Oh yeah, really? Yeah. What hardware did you use for that build? Yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, I would, you know, maybe one day we'll have some way for like to do PC building with you guys. Like, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll figure something out. I'd love to be able to do that, where I could do PC builds with you guys or something like that. You know, that would be a really fun like series of videos or something like that. You know, maybe one day we'll have the opportunity to do something like that. But yeah, with your guys' support, I probably won't be that long, because you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are always super great. I always love seeing all you guys' comments. You guys have been blowing up some videos recently. It's been pretty awesome to see. So let me go ahead and tie down some more stuff with some zip ties. I'll clean up some cables, and then just plug a couple things in for this system here, and we'll be moving on to system number 4 in just a few minutes. I'm planning on getting one because get them in India, and then I wish you could build a PC. I'm planning on getting one because you can get them. What are you trying to get? Oh yeah, the formula boards were always super cool. I don't know if you guys have seen the new boards that are coming, the Z790X boards. Those are really cool. There's one I saw today. I think it's Gigabyte or Aorus. They have an all white board. Even like the back of, even the PCB is white. If it's reasonable, I will be buying it, and I will be doing an amazing like showcase build in it. I can guarantee you that. If as long as it's not, you know, more than like $600 for the motherboard, I will be buying it for a crazy build. Just because I do want to feature it, because I think it's really cool. I saw some photos of it today. I think it was either a leak or it was from one of their showcase events, because Intel is going to have 14th gen come out fairly soon. And I think they're using just newer versions of the motherboard from what it looks like. Not 100% sure. I don't have any insider information outside of what I've seen with the leaks. So we'll see. But if that's the case, that'll be kind of interesting because I think they're going to do like a Z790X boards from what it looks like. So we'll see. The glacial board, yeah, those things are crazy. Those boards like that are the formula boards, the glacial boards where they have like the full water block. Always super cool. Always wanted to build with one. I have not had the opportunity to, but you never know. One day maybe I will. So everything's plugged in. Let's fire the system up, make sure it works, and move on to the next one. Hey Corbin, how you doing? Thanks for coming by. System's turning on. Let it fire up. It's gonna probably tell us, hey, new CPU installed. Just a second. There we go. Yeah, new CPU installed. Let it load. It was an i9 13900K MSI water cooled 4090, 64 gigabytes of DDR4, Z790 board, 8 terabyte NVMe drive. Wow, 1200 PSU, 14 fans, 420 millimeter radiator up top. Wow, that's absolutely crazy. That is a crazy system right there. 16 gigabytes of RAM. Let me just make sure our storage shows up. And there we go, 500 gig. 500 gig drive right there. All right, so let's go ahead, pull the plastic off the system, and then we'll go ahead and cover it back up, set it off to the side, and I'll install Windows on it in a little bit. Let's go ahead and just, yeah, this is gonna be a long time to install Windows on all these systems, I'll tell you that. Oh yeah, those are massive. Okay, school tomorrow. I'll make it off soon. All right, cool. Yeah. Let's see. All right, so system good. Let's go ahead. Let's shut it down. And you should have seen the rat sensitive cables in the back. You couldn't even see the middle. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you have that many fans, I will tell you, I had to deal with a customer's system. Actually, I don't know if I've told this story, but I had a customer who got like dealt with like crazy scalping pricing. He wanted like a high-end system during 2020. He got it was a Threadripper system, so it was a 3950X or something like that. So the highest in Threadripper CPU was like 32 cores. It was like 256 gigabytes of RAM. He had it was a dual 3090s or something like that, and when they were full price, and he paid I think $3,000 for each of them. It was absolutely crazy. Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. And you can catch the rest of it if you want to check the VOD out later. I'll have it on YouTube, so if you want to join and kind of see what happened afterwards, go ahead and do it. I really appreciate you being there. Hey, I appreciate you letting me know. Okay, cool. The Fractal Tear is actually really cool. That's a cool case. I would love to build him one. I don't know when I'll have the opportunity to, but if I can get my hands on one, I'd love to, because they look like really cool cases. Just super, super unique. All right, let's go to next build. RAM, CPU, storage. These are gonna fall. Let's go ahead and set this up here. Motherboard. And we'll get to work. First day we built, it took like 8 hours. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that type of crazy system like that, you're gonna run into some problems, I'll tell you that. Can you build the Z790E with... Yeah, I'm sure. I could... Yeah, you could definitely do that. Can you build Z790E 12700K? Yeah, well, the Z690 should have no issues running running with that hardware. I'm not sure if I got the full understanding of what you were asking there. May need a little more clarification what you were saying. May have read that wrong too. Sometimes that happens. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, that's fast memory, for sure. All right, let's keep going. CPU, go. Let's get this guy installed. Let's start speeding up our building process a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and pop up this cover, slot our CPU into place, pop that down, cover flies off, hold on to it for later. Let's grab our cooler, get this installed up here, and wait for it to click. There we go. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and pop in our CPU fan header. And there we go, right there. Motherboard's pretty much prepped. We just have to go ahead and take care of the memory, which we can go ahead and slide in here. And one more over here. There we go. Memory's out of the way. Let's grab a small screwdriver. And let's see. What else did he say? Yeah, it's been about a quarter of a year, and it still has 2 fans that didn't light up. Yeah, you may have ran into, sometimes when you have a lot of like hubs and stuff like that, you can have where either a hub doesn't have sufficient power to keep everything on, or something like that. I've seen that. But yeah, going back to that system that had where they paid the scalping pricings. This customer had a water-cooled system. The water-cooled system had, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they're RGB fittings. So basically, they're RGB fittings. So that basically lights up the tubes, which is kind of cool, but super unnecessary. But every single fitting has a cable. Every single one. And they all had to go into a hub. And again, with all the stuff there, it was absolutely crazy. That's kind of, it was insane just to see how many cables there were. And it wasn't a big case. I think it was like 011 dynamic. But so it was a big case. But at the same time, it was not a big enough case. We had like 4 fan hubs, a separate RGB controller for the LEDs, just for the fittings. He was built before I got there. And so I came in because he wanted me to basically reorganize all the cables. And that was a long process. So we ended up getting custom cable. We did custom cables. So custom length cables for all the main connectors. Made things look nice. So 790X with dual stack rads, like a 480, 420, yeah, wow, okay. The Z690E Strix board with 1207K. Okay, that sounds like a nice build right there. Absolutely. These are all 149 fans. Wow. Okay, yeah, those are big fans. There's a lot of fans. Yeah, that's crazy. Cool. All right, let's get this stuff out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. Let's get the next case out. And we will have, well, let's get system 4 complete. Getting through this. Slowly but surely. Been live for almost 2 hours now. All right. Let's go. Slide this guy out. And let's pop this up. Grab all the extra stuff. All right. And then let's take the plastic off. This case and lift it up. There we go. All right. That's sick. From Raging Tech. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just won't open from the back. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's kind of those crazy systems like that. You're right. You end up having that kind of thing. I'm having trouble with my laptop login. Won't come up even though it's on. So, do you get to the point where you see the time on your system? Because maybe we can get an idea of where you're getting stuck. So if you're not seeing the time, like the system just goes to like a black screen or never loads, it's kind of a different issue than depending on where you are. So you're not getting even to the time. Do you see anything when you turn the system on? Do you get a splash screen or anything like that? Slide this out of the way. We'll work on the next computer. All right. Yeah, if you let us know there, we can work with that information. Maybe we can give you some information. Any idea? No shows. No shows the background screen. So you don't even see like the initial logo of your laptop manufacturer. But the system sounds like it's turning on. Does that sound about right? Because you should normally get the like initial logo. No logo. Okay, so no logo can be a number of different things. Does it have a removable battery? Because this is the first thing I would probably test with. If it has a removable battery, what you want to do is you want to go ahead. Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for coming by. But yeah, if it has a removable battery, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead, pull that battery out of the system. While the battery's out, hold down your power button for about 10 to 15 seconds. Then what you're going to do is put that battery back in, plug your system, try turning it back on. Sometimes that will get you out of certain loops. I just had somebody just did this like an hour ago before, or a couple hours ago before I started this. Somebody called me, I'm like, hey, just try this. Fired right up. So yeah, sometimes you can get stuck in some kind of loop. Always the first thing I like to try. Yeah, what brand is it? That's also a good indication because that will give you some more information. Because we can also try seeing if we can get you into the BIOS or anything like that. Hey, thanks for asking that, Beard Knowledge. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's HP. Does it have a removable battery? Let me ask you that. Like, can you pop out the battery on the bottom, or is it one that seems to be underneath, like the bottom cover? That will give us some information. No removable battery. I need help. Got lines down the monitor. That sounds like a bad monitor. You can check another display cable. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it does, Beard Knowledge. I was pretty certain it didn't. So that's something to keep in mind there. Yeah, and oh you're talking about the. Yeah, that. Monitors, when they go bad, there's not a whole lot you can do to try to revive them. Especially if you've tried different components plugging into them. Usually there's not a ton that you can end up doing. You can check if it's still under warranty. That may be one of your solutions there. Yeah, it weighs probably like 40 pounds. That's crazy. That's pretty heavy. Yeah, when you get into like custom water-cooled systems, you can get super heavy, where systems are 50 pounds plus, especially like that one I was telling you about was absolutely massive. Yeah, if you've tried everything like that, I'm gonna probably tell you it's probably not a whole lot you can do because most monitors can't really be repaired, unfortunately. I wish I had an Asus ROG laptop. Use something portable. Yeah, I mean having a nice portable like workstation is nice, especially if you are on the go a lot. But it just depends on your use case. Sometimes they're a pain, like compared to a normal laptop, because they have their main downside, which is heat, and then on the other side of things, you have to deal with you have to deal with is something like, so you have heat on one side, and then you have to deal with like poor battery life. So anything like that is just can be some kind of a pain. Let me see if this will work. No, that didn't. All right, that one was not set up I gotta get a double cam view now that I can do that with how TikTok's set up. So I'm gonna work on that for next stream. Let's see. Let's go ahead, pop this system in. What are you talking about? You'd have it done by now. The builds and stuff. This is the fourth system. We're just talking to you guys, going through. We're just trying to enjoy it. It's not really a rush right now. We're just trying to take our time, have fun, talk, and that's really the whole point of it. We're not really. It's kind of like I don't know. It's just kind of a fun way to talk with you guys about tech. That's why I do it. Personally, laptop doesn't work for me. Like, yeah, take it apart and just shoulder random things. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Laptops, you know, if you're okay with having, you know, bulky chargers and stuff like that, it's something to always keep in mind. Yeah, it is getting late probably for, yeah, if you're on the East Coast, you're probably getting a little late. Hey, for sure, I won't forget you. I appreciate it. Just keep supporting us, and hey, you never know where we'll end up. But I really appreciate all your support, and appreciate you coming by tonight. Let's go ahead and all right. Let's go and move on to the next thing. There we go. All right. System is pretty good there. And let's go ahead and slide this guy out of the way. And let's get the system plugged in so we can move on to the next one. So we're doing about 2 systems per hour right now. Probably need to speed that up, or we're going to be here pretty late tonight. It's going to be a long one. I knew it would be long, but, you know, it had to get done. So, you know, it's going to be I think we're probably going to end up doing this for 4 hours, unless we could try to do like it's kind of hard to do a speed build with this one because of how things are wired, but, you know, maybe we'll do like a speed motherboard run, see how fast we can put the motherboard together safely. That's the main thing. This is number 4. This is number 4 of 8, and basically just have like 3 things to plug in, and then we are done with it. So let's just pop this guy in here. Yeah, this is let's see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plug in our fans in the back here, and we'll go ahead and get the next one plugged in. And we'll go ahead and plug this thing in around front to the fan header. Let's go ahead and get that in. Right. Let's take a look. There we go. All right, cool. That's plugged in. Now what we're going to do is just clean these cables up right here. We're going to go ahead and fold them over. Probably like this. Best way to do it. And then I'm going to grab a zip tie right there. And we'll go ahead and just get that into place. Come on. There we go. Zip tie is now nice and good. Go ahead and cut that down. That's going to hold. And then now we'll go ahead and grab a power supply. Slide this down. I'm going to see you. Hey, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate you joining and sticking with us through the process. Through 4 systems. It's been a while, but we'll keep working. If you want to check out the VOD later to see anything you missed, just go ahead and check it out. We really appreciate you watching those. So let's go ahead and throw a power supply box out of the way. Don't need that. And then we will go ahead and just undo the twist tie here. And let's go ahead and slide our power supply into place, get that screwed down, move on to our next step right here. So, we gotta get this guy out first. It's unfortunate they made that where it kind of overlaps like that. I wish that was a little higher up so that I didn't have to take that off every time we want to put a power supply in. Just one extra thing you have to worry about. But it's not too bad. Let's go ahead and slide the power supply over just a little bit to make sure it lines up. I'm gonna get that screwed in. And we'll speed up a little bit here. Okay. 1, 2, that's number 3. And number 4 here on the back of the system. Power supply is now screwed in. We just need 2 cables. Everything else is going to be zip tied down together. And grab another zip tie right here. We'll go ahead and wrap that around. We'll push it through to go ahead and make sure it's nice and tight. And then we'll go ahead and slide that down into the bottom basement. We'll push our 8-pin through the top. I will go ahead and plug that in, and then that will allow us to have power to our CPU. And then from there we can go ahead and get our 24-pin and then our HD audio, which I didn't happen to do just yet. So let's actually do that first. So HD audio, I'll pass it right through. And that is going to go all the way to the farthest left connector. It's always the farthest left connector on almost every motherboard when it comes to your HD audio. The reason for that is they usually isolate the audio connectors or the audio hardware to the far corner of the board. And then we'll go ahead and pop our 24-pin in as well, which we'll go ahead and go from here. So 24-pin, slide up here, and we'll go ahead and pop this into place as well. There we go. Right, nope, there we go. It's 24-pin is now in place. System should be good. Let's power it up. Make sure system number 4 is working. And if it is, we will move on to system number 5. Now, power switch. Something not plugged in. There we go. There we go. It's loading up. Let's go ahead and see if that loads. Give it a second, and then we'll go ahead and check the BIOS. Make sure everything shows up as expected. And if it does, then we will move on to the next system. So let's go ahead and slide our back panel on. Alright, so that loaded. So the system's at least posting. That's going to take a second. It's going to hop into the BIOS for us. And there we go. Take care of that. Let's go ahead and check our BIOS. Make sure everything's all clear here. So we got 16 gigabytes of RAM, recognizes our CPU properly. We got the 500 gigabyte storage drive, so we are good. Let's go ahead and move on. And then, oh yeah, we want to see the cable management. Yeah, so right now, we'll probably clean up a little bit more later, but we just have it pretty basic for this build because it's just, these are just little workstations. We'll probably clean up some more cables to move the 8-pin later, but for now, we just have the system set with everything. Basically, most stuff's tucked down below. We have this tied up here, and then this connector will probably just tie right over here with another zip tie. But besides that, we really don't have to do a ton more cable management with something like this. This is a pretty basic system here. But yeah, let me go ahead and tighten this system up, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next system. These are going to be in an office, so this is the only cable management is really more my convenience for when I have to service the system, and it, you know, whenever, if there's ever anything ever comes up. Yeah, it's not really, it's not yeah, exactly. The cable management on this, something like this, is not supposed to be perfect cable management. It's supposed to be practical. What I like to call practical cable management means that I can work on it. It means that I can get to it. I know where everything's at. Makes it nice and easy, because when a customer calls me out for an appointment and they need something done, I need to be able to go ahead and step in there and just be ready. So that's why I have it like that. So practical cable management is a great word for it. All right, let's go ahead and put this side panel on, and let's go ahead and move on. This should be good. And let's get the system out of the way. All right, now let's move on to the next one. System number 5. Let's go to our motherboard, CPU, RAM, storage, and keep going. All right, let's go ahead and get the bag out of the way. Let's go ahead and lay our motherboard flat, flip you guys over to the top-down view, and we'll go ahead and get our next little bit of stuff going. So cut that little tape, pop out our CPU and cooler. Go ahead and take care of this. Lift this up, exposing the pins. Plugging in our CPU into place. Pop down the little cover, that will pop right off. Set that off to the side. What's the question mark for? I'm sorry, I did. Yeah, so let's go ahead and leave that, and then we'll go ahead and put our cooler on. And we'll go ahead and get that installed right here. So we're going to go ahead and just pop that onto the CPU. There we go. That locked right in. No issue there. Let's put our CPU box out of the way. Let's put our RAM in to place. We're going to do slots 2 and 4, as we've done on the other 4 systems so far. Yeah, I just forgot my password. Oops. Good. Shoot, we just saw a bunch of messages that flew by. Okay. All right, brothers professional. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, I forgot my password on my PC. Can you please help me? I'm stressing. Yeah, sure. Do you have a local account, or is it a Microsoft account? Because I can tell you there's 2 ways to go ahead and reset your password, depending on the situation. Just let me know and I'll help you. What's your opinion on the Ryzen 5 3500X and GTX 1070? I mean, it's still adequate. I mean, you still probably, most games 1080p. Like, that's a nice 1080p system. I mean, there's a couple things you may struggle with. You're not going to have a little extra bells and whistles, but depending on the games you're playing, it might just be fine. Okay, here, let me ask you this. When you type in the password incorrect, what options does it give you? Because that will tell you what type of account you have. If it says enter like a reset key or something like that, then it's going to be a local account. If it tells you go to account.microsoft.com, that means you have an online account. And if you have an online account, resetting your password is really easy. All it is your Microsoft account password, which means you can go to Microsoft.com and basically go through and try to forget password. That'll let you set the password, and then you'll be good. For you, what are the top 3 power supply brands that you trust? I'd say Seasonic, Corsair, and EVGA. Those would probably be my top 3. Only play GTA 5. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're that build, like, as far as like especially if it's, you know, stuff you already have, or you're gonna get a really great deal, then those are gonna be fine. All it says is sign in option. Doesn't give me any options like that. So okay, type in the, so what are the sign in options? Do you have a PIN and a password? Let me ask you that, because if you do, you probably have a Microsoft account. Let me know about that, because that will give me what I need. Let me get the case out. Let's go ahead and grab another case. Let me go ahead and switch you guys back over to the main view. Okay, PIN and password, then you probably have a Microsoft account. So to reset the Microsoft account, what you're gonna wanna do is go to the password one. And if you don't know that password, you can go to Microsoft.com, try to sign in. And if you don't have your password, hit forgot my password. It should let you reset your password. At that point, when that password resets, as long as your computer is connected to the internet, that password will automatically be updated on your computer as well. Do you ever heard of First Player Steampunk PSU? That came with a 7-year warranty. No, I have not heard of that one. Not heard of that one. Yeah. That's another way. Yeah, you're right. OHAX is definitely another one. Yeah, if you have a PIN and password. Yeah. Yeah, so try to go to Microsoft.com. And then go to Microsoft.com, whatever email your account is under, and then it's going to be the email you use when you like set up the computer initially. That's the one for your Microsoft account. All right, let me pop this styrofoam off. All right. All right, slide this up. Let's try this real quick. And let's see. Yeah, try that out, because that's probably going to give you what you need. If you can reset that Microsoft password, it will take care of your issue for you, and you won't even have to worry about your password, which is actually nice because it does make things nice and easy if you do have an online account. But if you have a local account, things are a little more challenging, but it can be done depending on how your computer is configured. All right, let's keep going. Let's get this motherboard installed. Get the side panels out. These can just slide into the case box. Get that out of the way. Difference between an ATX and a micro ATX build. It's the size of the motherboard. So cases and motherboards specifically are micro or ATX or micro ATX boards. Depending on that, it's basically the length as well as the height. Primarily the height for micro ATX versus ATX boards. So ATX boards are going to be a little bit larger. Micro ATX boards will fit in like a case like this, where the ATX board will not. But most micro ATX boards will fit in ATX cases. There you go. You have a HPTC. Oh, you mean like a HPTC case? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, micro ATX has actually gotten pretty popular recently. It's really cost-wise, and it's kind of come back. For a while, there was just like nobody was doing it. But I think it's because mini ITX is, I have to say, to some extent, like almost dying because of graphics cards getting so large. Because what happens is when graphics cards get so large, you can't do a lot of the small form factor that you once used to be able to do. Yeah. You can fit like, wow, that's crazy. Okay, I need to, so you're talking about like a massive case then. Yeah, that's crazy. I actually have a couple old servers that I was gonna make some videos on that I got from a customer who was there having me clear out some stuff for them, and it's actually pretty cool. And they had some like really cool features, and one of them is like in mint condition, and it's like 20 years old. It's pretty cool to see how well it was actually kept up, because I don't think it was in commission for very long. You ever experienced first boot? Not really. That's pretty rare. Usually over time. Yeah, they could do that. They could go back to, there were some designs, what was it, the 70, it was a couple of the 295 X2, like the AMD had some cards where they had dual PCBs, or was it the Titan Z that had dual PCBs? I made a video on one that had, shoot, what card was it? I made a video on one a long time. Oh my gosh, that's slipping my head. What card is that? I don't have it out, but I had a card that had 2 layered PCBs with like an interconnect. So basically you could have one GPU and another GPU all in like one card form factor. I can't remember which one it was, but I had one. I have it still. I don't know where it's at, but I got it from one of those lots. And if you guys want me to bring back those lot videos, let me know, because I'd be more than happy to get some more. And I also have some like cool ways I've been able to get some really cool discounts on tech that I'm gonna be releasing pretty soon. So I think you guys are gonna like that. Would I still be able to connect to internet because I moved and I have new internet? Yeah, I mean, if you have, are you connected via, do you normally connect via Wi-Fi? If you're connected via Wi-Fi, you should be fine. You can click on the bottom right of your screen on the login page. If you're not connected, you'll see a globe. If you are connected, you'll see like a Wi-Fi icon. If you see the globe, you can click on that, and that'll let you select your network. Hey, we love lots. All right, I'll get some more, for sure. I've had one. I have one actually I was gonna do. Been waiting on that. But I've also been doing some return lots, which are kind of cool. So those ones I actually have some, like a build around return lots that's coming up soon. Are you into Intel or AMD? It just depends. Like my personal system's AMD, but I also have, like, the system I use for gaming is Intel right now. So kind of just depends. Whatever's available to me. They're really close. I'll tell you that. They are way closer than anybody wants to say. That's gonna be the main thing. No, there's no performance difference between ATX and micro ATX if the boards were built the same. Sometimes the micro ATX boards will cut certain features that do, in theory, make them less. Like, you know, if you wanted to consider something, why is it up here? Okay, there we go. If you do want to consider, one of them better than the other, the one downside of micro ATX is they will cut features. GPU lots were a lot of fun. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I did try repairing a couple cards. The problem was, what happened with a lot of those cards was they were so physically damaged. And it was really the main thing. They were so physically damaged that basically you would have to go through and find the individual components for the GPUs, probably with donor boards, and try to repair each individual one when the cards, when they were fixed, were less than $50. Which means it ended up basically being more of it was going to cost more than the card was worth. So that's just something to keep in mind. I got a Wi-Fi USB adapter, Netgear. Okay, it's fine. You can still connect to that. You just have to join when you get to the lock screen, right? In the bottom right of your screen, you should see a little Wi-Fi icon or a globe icon. You click there, you can log into it. ITX costs more expensive. So ITX case or ITX motherboards usually cost more. Because they are a little more complex to build. They also are much harder to make lower end ITX boards. They usually are a little more feature rich, which usually adds cost, including things like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is really common to include on micro ATX boards or mini ITX boards, which adds cost. Even though it's not a ton, it does add cost, and it ends up making them more expensive. So it's just something to keep in mind there, why those can get a little more expensive sometimes. That's one of the reasons. There's a couple other ones, but I think it's the complexity of building the board, and then you also have the fact that something like a micro ATX, mini ITX motherboard is also going to have Wi-Fi like 99% of the time, which again, more cost. It's saying on the instructions to install Windows, what? To install Windows adapter software. Most of those, has it been used before or is it new? The Wi-Fi adapter. If it's been used before, the software is already on there, and you won't need it. And most USB Wi-Fi adapters are plug and play. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and okay, well, it should be plug and play. If it's plugged in, it should still let you join that network. Most cases they're plug and play. It just depends. Sometimes they're not, but it just depends on the case. But in my experience, a lot of them are. That's why I usually carry one with me when I'm on job sites, because the plug and play nature makes it super nice. Especially because so many times people have Wi-Fi issues, and you can just pull that out and boom, it's resolved. And everybody's happy. So yeah, that's a nice thing. All right, so let's get this power supply installed. Need to get this twist tie off, and we'll get and slide this guy in the back and move on to our next end of this next system. Slide this together, move that box out of the way, and gotta pull this guy out real quick. Yeah, but I think you should be okay. You should be able to do it that way. So let me go ahead and slide this power supply in. All right, let's go ahead and get this screwed in now. And the power supply is just a little misaligned. Let me go ahead and just get the screws in here. One, my PSU, okay, no networks are popping up when it's plugged in. Okay, so if no networks are letting you connect, can you plug your system into Ethernet at all? It would be really helpful. It'd make things a lot easier. Because you're not going to be able to install it if your network adapter does require software. You're not going to be able to do it until you're logged in. So yeah, once you change your password on the Microsoft.com, see if you can do it with the adapter. If you can't, then at that point you need to go ahead and connect via Ethernet, just so you can go ahead and make sure that the system sees that your password's been changed. Okay, well, is there any Ethernet, like even from wherever your modem's at? Like even if you have to move your computer into a different room for 10 seconds, because all you need to do is just log in. Once you're logged in, you can set up your Wi-Fi adapter. Because that's the because if not, you're kind of locks you out for now without having your internet capability. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this stuff plugged in and make sure that this system is working. So what I'll do once these systems are all built, So I'm going to probably line like 4 of them up on this bench. And then kind of how I work is I'll plug all of them into the monitor. And then, okay, whoa. When I plug the Wi-Fi adapter into the MacBook, no, you don't. You set it up on the device you're actually working on. The adapter runs off. It wants the software from your computer, and it doesn't want. That's what it's going to try to do. It's going to try to auto configure, and if it doesn't auto configure, they're going to want you to download the software for your for that absolute for the specific for your specific adapter there. It's basically a driver there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta plug it into your PC. That's if you don't have any Ethernet, you have to have one that's gonna auto recognize, because you can't do anything without that. You may have to plug it into Ethernet just to set it up. Just because if it sounds like if it's not letting you auto do it without it, that's maybe your only option. Especially because you can't log in because you don't have the password, or you just had to change the password, which requires internet for it to be updated. Because what it's going to do is check against Microsoft's server settings, and it'll remember either the last one that you used, or if you don't have that, then it's going to check, and then if it has internet, it's going to go ahead and check for, if you have internet, it'll check against the most up-to-date one. So that's kind of why that matters in the first place. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in. See if it works. It should, but let's see. Give it a second. Did I turn the switch? Oh, nope, I didn't turn the switch. All right, let's try this. So when I plug it in to set it up, then I'll be good. Yeah, you won't need Ethernet after that point. Okay, once you have that configured, but first make sure you can log in, and then you can run your software setup, and then you'll be good. Yep, turn it on. There we go. All right, cool. Let's grab a USB. Absolutely. Happy to help, as always. 13400, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte solid state drive. All right, the system's good. We're going to just cut this little cable right here, or the zip tie. And then I'm going to grab some side panels. And there we go. Okay. All right, have a good night. Yeah, well, anytime. Happy to help. And if you want to check out the VOD afterwards, we're happy to talk. i5 6th generation, 450 gig SSD, 16 gigabytes of RAM, RX 580, good first PC. I mean, you're going to be really limited on what you can run these days. I mean, you can play older games, but you're going to be, I would probably not recommend unless you get that at an extremely good deal, because that hardware is not really worth a whole lot, especially because the GPUs are so old at this point. You're playing older games, maybe some like non-AAA title games, you know, that type of stuff's fine. If you want to play like CSGO, you're probably fine with that. You know, but if you're going to try to play anything more complex, you're going to be limited for sure. All right, system number 5 is now completely done. I'm going to get this guy out here. And now let's go ahead and move on to system number 6. Grab motherboard, CPU, storage, all out of the way, and we will keep on moving. All right, so motherboard, let's pull this out. We got the I/O shield. Let's pull it out of its anti-static bag. we go. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's get our CPU out of its box. Let's open that up. And there we go. All right. Let's go ahead and pop our CPU cover up. And there we go. And that will go with that. Our socket covers are out of the way. And we will move this little cable up. There we go. All the way into place. Plug in our CPU fan. There we go. Move the boxes out of the way. And we can put in our storage or RAM right now. Let me go ahead and actually flip you guys over to the top-down view. And give me 1 second. I need a faster shortcut for that. I have a Stream Deck. I just haven't configured it right with how far it is from where I am, from where my desk is. But I'm gonna configure that, figure out a way. And the problem is it needs active power because I can't use an extension on it because it actually has to pull quite a bit of power, unfortunately. So there we go. Where should I get a Ryzen 5 4500, 450 gigs, 16 gigabytes of RAM? The second option is probably better, to be honest, but you're still going to be very limited. Are these like used systems that you're finding deals on or something like that? Or where are you finding these system specs at? Because these are still, you're dealing with much older hardware. So just something to keep in mind. But I'd probably lean towards the second system if I were you. Just from newer CPU architecture is going to be much nicer. 6th generation processor, that's 7 generations back now, almost 8. That's old for a computer. At least the 4000 series is only like 3 generations back. So yeah, that's big difference for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Slide this into place. Screw it down. Specs of the systems. Yeah, we're doing 8 systems. We got a Intel Core i5 13400 for our CPU. We got an MSI Pro B750M-P DDR4 motherboard. We have 16 gigabytes of DDR4 from Patriot. We have a Crucial P3 Plus 500 gigabyte SSD. We're using a stock cooler, and then everything's being built in the Fractal Pop Mini Silent. And then we have a Seasonic S12 3 500 watt power supply. I think that's everything. Yeah, there you go. That was kind of a mouthful there. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we got that out of the way. That can be moved. And now let's move back to how much would you sell this PC for? This type of system, we don't really have a margin on. It's pretty much closer to the actual price, just what the price of the system is spec-wise. We get paid for our service with how we're building out the system. For instance, like we're putting in all these systems, we're being paid for our time to install all of them. That's really where we're making money on these systems here. We're not really in the market to make money on each system. You know, basically we're gonna be close to the cost in this type of case for this type of business that we're working for. If we're building it for a customer, you know, we basically have you know, a flat fee for the build on top of the actual price of the parts. Make things nice and simple. All right, cool. Let's get this case out. Give me 1 second. getting a little cramped in here. All the cases and the case boxes. So, let's do this. Probably should have unboxed all the cases ahead of time before starting the stream. Probably has saved me a lot of time, but you know, just gotta make it work now. All right, so let's just slide that over there. Throw this guy over here as well. Let's see. Well, because you're in my country, expensively good PC, switch the CPU to, yeah, 5500 is decent. Let's see. Because, yeah, or an i3 12th generation. I mean, i3 12th generation is, you're going to be kind of limited to some extent when it comes to what you can do. I'd probably say the 5500 is better than the i3 12th generation. Yeah, you're within like margin. So if you can go with a 5500, that's not bad. If you really are trying to cut costs, you know, you can go with like a 3600. Those are pretty cheap right now. It is older, and then spend more on your GPU. Okay, let's see what else. I just saw a bunch of questions. Bro, my PC shows a white light. How to fix? Where's the white light coming from? That's the only way I can know what the issue is. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Ryzen 5 5600 or 5600X? Probably 5600. The 5600X doesn't give you a ton of extra performance. Unless the cost is very small. If it's more than like a $25 difference, don't go with the upgrade. Should I get a Ryzen 5, 5500, or 5600? Same kind of thing. They're really close when it comes to performance. I'd probably lean closer to the 5600 because I know the prices of those are very, very close. Probably a better option there. My source is a 320 watt. Oh, your power source. Is that enough for a GT 420? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty basic. That sounds like a pretty basic card. White light, no display. Okay, well, yeah, well, I'm also on TikTok right now. Sorry about that. YouTube is asking me. Sorry about that, guys. But anyways, yeah, I'm on TikTok and YouTube. Just so you guys know. The white light shows no display. Is in the top like right of your screen, like top right of your motherboard. Well, if it is, that means it's likely a diagnostic LED. What motherboard do you have? Maybe I can tell you what that may indicate. And was this a new build? Or was this system just built? Or previously built, I mean. All right, let's get this case up here. Let's get it prepped. Uh, 5500 to 5560. 5600, not, you mean 5600, probably 5600. ASUS, then there probably are LED indicators. That white light probably indicates something. If you take a picture of it real close up with it on and DM it to me on Instagram, I will let you know what that means. That's probably the easiest way for me to know for sure. And just send me what motherboard you have specifically, and I'll help you out. Yeah, 5600. Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, no, I've heard of 5560. Yeah. Pretty sure you meant 5600. All right, cool. So we got that. Undo these twist ties. Go. Cool. Get all these twist ties out of the way. And now, let's grab our screws and zip ties for the system. So many twist ties for these builds because each one has like 10 or 5 or 6, I mean. So it's adding up a lot. All right, the price of the Ryzen 5 in my country is, yeah, go with the Ryzen 5500. That's probably better. Hey, Beard Knowledge, just saw you showed up. Hey, how you doing? You're back. How's the evening going for you? Let's try this. Let's try that. Slide these all together. Just pre-wire this stuff. And let's pop that motherboard into place. Let's also just do this. Make things easier on ourselves this time. Let's also just have this already ran to where we want it. And then we don't have to worry about it. There you go. Had to change it up. Yeah, why not? Sure, absolutely. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate it though. Okay, cool. Let's slide this board into place now. Let's try to get that. All right, cool. So we're gonna pop this I/O shield. Let's switch you guys over to the top view. Recording some new content. Okay, what kind of content are you making? What are you making today? Gotta know. Gotta know what it is. See if we can get an early scoop. Hopefully something pretty cool. There we go. Let's just plug this in right now while I have it. And this guy can also be plugged in. Let's see, I'm gonna build a 1070 5600 SSD, new motherboard. Almost forgot RAM. Yeah. All right, let's plug this guy in. All right, let's see. We got power, LEDs. Let's see, we can slide these in. There we go. And our power switch. There we go. All right, let's screw this down now. Couple videos for sponsored stuff, scripting videos, snips. All right, cool, awesome. Awesome to hear. You gotta. That sounds cool. Yeah. Hey, that's awesome. Glad to see you're making some cool content. Can't wait to see it. I'll make sure to check it out when it comes out. Let's see. Screw that in. These systems are pretty easy to build. I mean, we're averaging about 2 an hour. I think if I wasn't talking, probably get down to 3 an hour if I wasn't like streaming and stuff. But besides that, you know, it's pretty good for how we're moving through these systems. Is the i9 9400 and 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabyte SSD, and 1050 Ti good for a first PC? Yeah, I mean that's the 1050 Ti is getting a little old these days. So it just depends on what you're using it for. If you're trying to game, I don't know, I'd be looking for something a little bit better these days, unless you're playing some really basic games. That's just out of kind of precaution when it comes to, you know, dealing with, you know, when you deal with like, you know, newer games and stuff like that, the demands for GPUs has just gotten really, really tough. So anything newer games you're going to be struggling with. But if you're going to play 1080p for like either older games or more like very simplistic games like a Valorant or something like that, or a CSGO, those are very easy games to run that pretty much any system can run these days. Even like older systems that are, you know, 4 or 5 years old like that one. Okay, Minecraft, you're probably fine. You're probably fine. I mean, it's just, you know, make sure it's a good deal, because that's that is old hardware. I wouldn't be paying too much for it, just because, you know, as games get more complex, you know, you're gonna end up having to, you know, upgrade something like that sooner than later, because it is, you know, a much cheaper system, or a much more budget focused system. So let's go ahead. I'm just gonna throw this on the bottom. Let's grab a power supply. Throw this in here. $250 plus shipping. How many builds left? Hey, thanks for coming back. Let's see. We have 2 more after this one. I'm just putting the power supply in, and then we got 2 more. Let's grab screws. Switch you guys over to the main view. And come on. And it works great. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's probably fine. I just remember games do get more complex over time, so I usually don't tell people be cautious. 250 or a little, maybe a little high. I would probably be looking for something like that, a little bit lower if you can, but that's another thing. Hey, I got a monitor problem. We don't do monitor repair, just because of parts, honestly. If we could get the parts, we probably would be able to help you, but monitors really don't have like standardized parts, which makes things really hard to work on them. So that's kind of the one downside. But if it's computer related, the monitor might be able to help you. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a decent system. I don't know how he got it, but I would just get, yeah, I mean, you can get an RX 580, but, you know, it's kind of, the driver support is supposed to be stopping soon. So I would be a little cautious with that. If with updates and stuff like that, when you get to that old of hardware, just something to keep in mind. All right, so yeah, if you're a really cheap budget, yeah, you're true. I'm working on a couple like really budget systems, and yeah, basically you gotta look for good used deals. Sometimes you can find them. Like, remember I got that one PC flip for $350, which was like a Ryzen 5 5600 and I can't remember what GPU was, but it was like a 5700X or something like that. But I got a really cheap deal on it. We ended up flipping it, but it was a example like the type of deals sometimes you can get if you kind of wait and look around. So we're gonna go and just grab a CPU cable and our 24 pin. Everything else is gonna get bunched up and it's gonna be hidden away for a long time. Because this system's probably not gonna have a ton of upgrades anytime soon. If it does, it'll be a GPU, but it'll probably be something very basic. And we'll just tuck that in the basement. Never need to see that again. And then we'll flip this guy around and we'll plug in our 8-pin connector right here. Yeah, like that is definitely a really cheap budget when you're trying to work with something like that. Let's take a look. There we go. And then we're gonna go ahead but yeah, look used hardware. If you're going really budget, just be safe, be careful where you're buying. You know, places to look, you know, you can look at places like eBay where they have like some buyer guarantee for used hardware. And then the other side of things to look, you know, if you want to go like already built or you want to buy hardware, check like Jawa out. They've worked with me in the past. Great company and everything. So they got a lot of like great used deals. And then there's some other places you can look, you know, like locally, but for the most part, if you're looking for like hardware on a really budget, somewhere to go ahead and look there. All right, so there we go. And then we're going to go ahead, run one more cable right down to the bottom. And then we are going to be done with system number 6 in about 2 minutes probably. Let's just pop that guy in, plug it in. All right, press power. System sounds like it's turning on. And let's see if we get it turned on. Yeah, the GTX 1070 is going to have more power than the RX 580. Just depends on price. There we go. System did turn on. Let me see. Oh, there's the little USB dongle. Go ahead and just take that. And let's just make sure everything shows up right. So we got memory and we got our storage. So we are good there. Let's go ahead and just cut the zip tie in the back. Pull power, pull display, and we'll put our side panels back on, and we'll build our last 2 systems. Hey, how you doing, BMI? Nice to see you. Glad you could stop by and catch the stream. Appreciate it. All right, let's tighten this guy down. And let's go ahead and get this front taken care of as well. Maybe we do both systems side by side for fun on this last one. What do you guys think? Let's try to do them. Let's do some side by side builds. So we'll do like everything double at the same time. Let's see if we can do it faster that way than doing 2 separate systems. Right now it's taking about an hour to do 2 systems. So if we can do 2 of them at the same time, we might be able to save a little bit of time this time. All right. And I still got to configure these tonight, so I'm trying to save any time I can. All right, let's try this. It's going to be fun. We're going to do 2 motherboards, 2 CPUs. Just throw our extra stuff back here, here. 2 SSDs. And watch this. It's going to be fun. All right, watch this. So we're going to put these off to the side. And ready, guys? And let's go. We're going to go ahead and take our first motherboard out. Go ahead and set that off to the side. Do the second motherboard. Set that off to the side. So many anti-static bags. And we'll go ahead and slide this thing in. And we'll cut these CPUs out. All right. Move that. This one. All right, we'll go ahead and get this installed. Oh, I'm not even have you guys on the right view. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, cool. Basically, we're just doing them side by side now. See if we can build these faster technically this way. That thing went flying. socket covers. Going over here. Grab our coolers. Both of them are gonna sit like this. Yeah. Yeah, I use OBS to stream. And then for TikTok, I have it going to the live. So I use what's called the OBS virtual cam. So yeah, I have what's called OBS Live Virtual Cam that goes over to the TikTok Live Studio. And then that's what allows me to stream over to TikTok at the same time. Next episode of PC Repair and Flip. So I have a couple different things. I have a couple options right now. It's either going to be this week or it'll be next week. This upcoming one, I'll give you kind of a little sneak peek. It's actually, one of them's right here next to me. It actually was a deal that transpired with the system that we had previously fixed to upgrade, or we had previously purchased for $800. It's sold. I'll give you guys the full details when we're actually in the that video. But part of the sale was I got another system, and that's the system that we're actually going to upgrade. Or basically, we had to fix a couple things on it. We got to upgrade it, and then we're going to flip it. So that's kind of the next one of that, just to give you a little sneak peek. But that one, either this week, just depends. I'm supposed to be going away this weekend, so I will be, just depends on if I can get that out, or if we end up doing a different video. My other video concepts for this week, I got another follow-up cooler laptop cooling testing video. We're going to check out a vacuum laptop cooler, which is going to be really cool. That'll either be this week or next week. And then the other thing we're looking at is we have a couple builds using some used PC hardware, which I think we're going to be able to, for flipping purposes. So same kind of thing, kind of fall in the same category. Where did my screwdriver go? There it is. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with those. But I do want to get that done soon. It's just it's very time consuming to do those long form pieces of content, but I am excited to do them because they're just a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. They do take a little bit of time, but they're worth it. Absolutely, because you guys seem to really enjoy it. But I do have the one ready to go. I have what I'm putting in it, what I'm going to upgrade it with, also ready to go. So I think it'll be a nice little system that's going to be perfect for somebody that's just looking for like an entry level gaming system. And we're not going to have to sell it for very much to make a nice little profit to begin with. But if we go and upgrade it with a really budget GPU or something like that, I think it's going to be a nice little system. And then we'll also have the GPU that's in it that we can go ahead and sell separately, which will allow us to go ahead and make up for some of that cost as well. So we won't have to make a huge margin on that one, but it'll be a nice little video, and it'll be pretty fun to make. And then yeah, I have like 3 or 4 builds lined up right now. So like where they're gonna be like that type of build around that same type of video, just to kind of let you know. So those are gonna be like deals I found through like eBay and Java and a bunch of other places that I've basically been picking up some hardware for the past little while, all in expectation for these builds. So for instance, I have, and then next week, or probably within a week or so, or maybe 2 weeks, I will have another video that I am super excited to do. A long form piece. It's gonna be really, really cool. Yeah, so in the long form piece, I'm looking at another Alienware gaming PC, and we had some trouble with them before, We're gonna see if Alienware has redeemed themselves with their new design, or if they're still ripping people off. So it'll be kind of cool. You guys will enjoy it. So it's kind of some updates on what we're working on, some content that we're doing. And these systems, motherboards are ready to go. So let's go ahead and get these all set. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's grab 2 PC cases and see how we're gonna do both of them at the same time. Main. Let me go ahead and cut these open. I'll be right back. All right, so just getting these cases out. All right. There's case 1. All right, any other questions or anything, guys? While we are kind of just in between working on this build here. All right, there's one case. Let's actually just prep this one, and then what we'll do is we'll lay them side by side as I work on both of them. See how it works, doing 2 at the same time. See if we can do it. All right, side panels off of case number 1. And there we go. Slide that in. Let me get just the screws out of it, so that's something I can lay down now flat. So once those are good there, we can actually lay this flat, which will allow us to do both of them at the same time. So leave that there. Let me get the other system out, or the other case out. 1 second, guys. All right. Let's see, where did I put that? Keyboard, there we go. All right. Perfect. I think we're on pace right now to beat our time by doing 2 systems at a time. Actually gonna go ahead and just pop these side panels off down here. So they're out of the way, and I don't have to deal with them anytime soon. So only thing I gotta grab out of this case to make it easier to do both of them. i7-950 is cheap. Well, i7-950, that's old now. It's like 13 years old. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's an old system you're talking about or what you're referencing, but that's an old system right there. I can tell you that for sure, just based on generation of that. So let's go ahead and pop in our I/O shields. Something I've realized with building a lot of computers, there's a lot of waste of like boxes and so much like plastic and just so much stuff that just comes in with these systems that just ends up just getting thrown away. Especially if they're not saved. Yeah, like in the case of these systems, because they're going in the office, it's not like these motherboard boxes will be saved. It's not really they don't have room for something like that. So, but yeah, that's kind of something I've realized when working on a lot of systems, we've got all these boxes here just to build out some office PCs. So here we go. All right, so we got 2 things of screws. Let's go ahead and lower system number 1 into place. Let me flip you guys over to the top. So we're gonna lower system number 1 into place. That's good. Lower system number 2 into place. Good. And now let's go ahead and let's get these motherboard boxes out of the way. Now we can slide these cases up a little, make it easier for you guys to see. And let's grab our screws. For the first system, right here. Where is my screwdriver? Right here. All right, cool. And let's go ahead and start screwing in the first system and get moving. So 1, 2. If you guys have any other PC related questions, let me know. I've been talking for the last little while. And if you guys are watching the VOD, I really appreciate you. All right. All right, cool. Good there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there. All right, now let's do the other system. Set that off to the side. The other system, we just need the remaining screws, which we just gotta go ahead and spill out and screw into place. All right, cool. If you guys think I should make a video getting all these installed, kind of let you know what this thing will look like when it was done, let me know, because I think that might be a kind of a cool concept when I go ahead and get these installed either tomorrow, probably tomorrow. So, if you guys want to see that, let me know. Let's try. Take a look. Put these other 2 screws in on the bottom. And then we got one more on the side here. Guess what? We got both systems are now screwed into place, and we can start doing some of the important work. Pull off our plastic. I believe they put the plastic on these here so it doesn't scratch the paint when they're being slid in at the factory. If I'm pretty certain on that. I see some little emojis flying there. Thank you for those. All right, let's go. See, system 1, system 2. Go full screen. Come on. Come on. Mouse is jumping from me. There we go. Come on. It clicked main. There we go. All right, cool. It was being weird for a second. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get both of these wired up. I did pop off the little front panel on this guy. That's like a kind of cool thing on the Fractal Pop is they do have a 5 1/4 inch bay that's hidden under this little panel right here. Or it's like some little pass-through thing where you can store stuff down there, which is kind of cool. So we need to go ahead and just get out all of the zip ties. So these things are gone and out of this system, because zip ties do not belong in a PC case by any means. And I'd love to talk to some manufacturers about figuring out something else, because And people end up leaving them in, that's where they end up having issues. So, all right. Let's go ahead and just get our fans good on this first one. We're doing pretty good on our timing of these two builds. Moving pretty quick. This is gonna get plugged in just right up here. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and push through our front panel connectors right here. Yeah, Velcro. They just need to do something else. Velcro straps, even reusable zip ties are great. They're not very expensive. They just put in some reusable zip ties on just pre-installed. Guess what? People wouldn't have to uninstall them all the time. And it's cheaper than Velcro. Super easy. Or even just put zip ties. Let us cut them off. But don't use twist ties. They're useless. It's a waste. So you're wasting resources on zip ties. And it's funny, I'll see manufacturers put in like nicer zip ties or something like that. And like, what's the point of that at that point? All right, cool. That's good. System just needs to be tidied up a little bit. So let's just do this. Just gonna go ahead and group all of my fan cables much as possible. And let's go ahead and oops, there we go, it slid out. Let me fix that. Yeah, exactly, right? Hey, I want to, like, I have contacts at these case manufacturers now, and something I feel like I need to start including in every single review is just saying that until these manufacturers get rid of it, is make it a point, because I think it's gonna, these PCs are actually already sold, because I do think this is a value. There's a reason why we need to go away from twist ties. There's a good reason, and you know, case manufacturers should be on the same page as us. We're gonna get to experience this. I've been doing this for 9 years, building out computers or working on computers. So, but yeah, so I do think that this is something I would love to start talking to some of my contacts and see what we can do as an alternative. Because I'm happy to help and like give them my input on it, because I know people in the entire industry, it's frustrating, and I have had customers where they do something and they end up having an issue with these twist ties later on. So, and they're just kind of, like I said, unnecessary. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get these out. Get number 2 plugged in. I think we're gonna, not too much longer on this one. Let's take a look. We're gonna get this guy going. Perfect. Let's get them plugged in on the other system. Perfect. We'll go ahead and Beard of Knowledge. Hey, you gonna go to CES this year? I don't know if you went last year, but you should totally go, because I should be there this year as well. So you should totally go, because it's a ton of fun, a lot of content to make there. So if you can make it out there, do it. It was a ton of fun. A great way to make a lot of contacts in the industry. I really enjoyed my time when I was there last year, and can't wait to go back. So much cool stuff. Like a lot of the stuff I saw there, I've made videos on since though. No, would love to though. Hey, they haven't even like opened the sign-ups officially, so if you can get it out there, go, because it's worth it, and we'll meet up or something. But yeah, so there's it's gonna be, it's really cool out there. Let's see what else we got. Good night. All right, have a good night. See ya in the next one, or check out the VOD afterwards if you can. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being out here for a while. I've seen you. Yeah, CES is a ton of fun. It was a dream of mine to go. Like last year, I can't explain to you guys enough how, like, I'd been wanting to go. Me and my friend who went with me, he was my videographer for CES, who I've known. My friend who I've known pretty much most of my life. Me and him, we actually started my first computer business with him. We'd been wanting to go since we started that. We were pretty young when we started, and we were figuring out ways to get in there, like at 15 years old, 16 years old. Like we were trying to figure out ways, like, can we get in with like parents, supervisor? We tried to get like family friends, like go with us so we could go, and we could never get like a approval or whatever to get in, and we'd always wanted to go, and we got to go last year, and it was our first time going, and it was just like amazing. And I was really all thanks to you guys, because none of that would have been possible without you guys, which is why I'm forever thankful, because we got to do something that would have never been possible, because or maybe it could have been, but we wouldn't have had the access that we did, because you guys allowed us to become part of media, which made that was big fail right there. Yeah, I'll fix that afterwards. But we became part of media, which was really, a great honor. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And can't wait to go back next year. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and pop this off, throw that away. And let's get this power supply box out of the way and start putting this last thing in. So we just got to put 2 power supplies in, and we're gonna bid. Yeah, I already said these PCs are already sold. Yeah, these PCs are already sold. These were commissioned for an office that we built these out for. So these are systems that we had planned on building and everything. So kind of make that's why they're all the same too. They're not like they're like, we needed everything to be the same for where it's going. It's kind of like it's an office environment, so that's why they don't have GPUs or anything like that. They're really just workstations. They're workstations. They're going to be reliable workstations for the customer. That's really all they are asking for. Plenty of power to run the software that they need. And run it for a number of years going forward. The last thing they want is to go ahead and have to replace 8 computers a year from now. And the nice thing is, we also built these systems to be fairly upgradable, so that we can kind of keep the case power supply for 10 years if we want to, as long as things don't change too drastically. But from my understanding, they won't. So, at least my prediction, they won't. Meaning that we can be pretty confident with how these systems are being built out here today, that they'll be able to be upgraded and they can do whatever they want this year and into the future. All right. Go ahead and slide these cables into place. I'm just kind of putting the cables away. Just going to push through our HD audio. And then get that. Yeah, it is in Vegas, but yeah, if content-wise though, it's like one of the places you cannot beat it. Like you cannot beat the amount of content you can get in a single few days in Vegas for CES. That's the one thing I'll tell you, and which is why it was so much fun to go. All right, let's take a look. And let's see, push this, I'm just trying to get my 24 pin in. popped off. There we go. See, the only thing is with lower wattage power supplies, there'll be 20 plus 4-pin cables, which can be annoying sometimes because it's really not necessary for the most part, because most systems, yeah. You're also right, yeah. Most systems these days, if you're in a corporate environment, everything's LAN. Yeah, it's easier than Wi-Fi. It's also cheaper. It's more effective. There's less downtime. All these type of offices will have they'll have laptops, but desktops, these are like, for instance, a couple of these systems will be like commissioned to like administrative duties. So they're people booking appointments. They don't need these people don't need a ton of power, and they need more reliability, and which is what a LAN connection can give you over Wi-Fi. It's going to be a little more reliable. You're going to have that more consistent level of, you're not going to have as much like the throttling up and down that sometimes you experience with Wi-Fi, especially with connectivity, devices that hit the network, stuff like that. There's less interference. So let's go ahead and see if this first one turns on real quick. Turn the switch. And there we go. And while that one loads up, let's grab the other power supply. We'll start working on the other one. Yeah, that's really the main reason. It's more reliability. All right. Get this. Yep, looks like the system fired up. There we go. And the last system we worked on would have been, which one? Because, all right. So last system we worked on, where do we plug in our USB dongle? I'll make sure that works. Actually, I don't know what to do with that. I'll have to find that after I start cleaning things up. I'm assuming probably place it down right here. It's all good. All right, so everything looks good. 16 gigabytes. I see storage devices look good. All right, cool. This one's good. All right, so this system's good to go. Let's actually just throw our side panel on it, and then that will be out of the way for working on it now. And just clean up so we can finish our last system. This has been a long stream. 3.5 hours so far. Wow. Yeah, after that like fourth system, definitely felt a little repetitive. I wish these systems were a little different so we could talk more about the systems, but it's kind of the build out. Sometimes I have where like a few systems in the office are a little different, but sometimes everything just needs to be the same. So it also kind of helps to have everything the same with knowing like what parts I need to have. Sometimes my businesses I work for want certain things to be on hand. So depending on their situation, they don't want any downtime to be associated with like waiting for parts. So they'll basically almost force you to have parts on hand or availability of certain parts to kind of operate with what they need. All right, cool. So let's go ahead, pop this guy into place down below. We gotta unscrew this plate. All right. Let's go ahead and we will screw this guy in. Perfect. Power supply's in. Let's grab our cables. Only 2 cables we need. Everything else is getting bunched, zip tied, and is going to be hidden in just a second. And there we go. Zip tied. And now those get tucked down below. We're going to pass through our 8-pin CPU cable over to the top. Hey, how you doing? What's the build specs? My custom PC specs are crazy good. You got a 4090, that's crazy. Yeah, that's really great. No, these are office systems, so these are not really designed for gaming. These are just like typical workstations. So they are a Intel i5 13400. We got 16 gigabytes of Patriot memory. We got a 500 gigabyte NVMe drive. This is a Crucial P3 Plus drive. I've had a few people asking why I choose Crucial for storage devices. It's honestly because they have really great price to performance, and I've had great reliability with them. So that's why people ask me all the time. So I just wanted to address that. And then yeah, what else was I gonna say? Okay, and then we're using a MSI Pro B760. I got to see this. B760 M-P DDR4 motherboard, and then we got a 500 watt power supply from Seasonic, and everything is going in the Fractal Pop Mini Silent case, which is a nice little case. I'm actually been really happy with building in it. The only gripe I have with it are the twist ties. Got to get rid of those. Don't want to see them in any new cases coming out. So that's the next big step that I think we got to get rid of. So let's go ahead and let's see. All right. What else are you guys saying? I see a bunch of messages. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming by, Hayden. Do you have the NVIDIA RTX GTI? No, I'm not sure what that card is. Not that one specifically. I have some, RTX cards, and as well as some GTX cards. So I'm not sure which card you're referring to, but it might be just confusion there. All right. Let's go ahead and get this last cable plugged in. And let's test this system. All right. Turn it on. And we will be good. Any plan moving forward towards networking or cloud? Yeah, so some of my companies I do work for are, I've pretty much moved most things to the cloud. Like this company actually has a lot of their infrastructure in the cloud. It's just certain things. Well, this is my company. My competitor is Geek Squad, so that's who I compete against in my area. One of the people I compete against. Yep. So we got a Ryzen i5 3400, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Drive showing up. So this means this system is good to go. Let me go ahead and just grab our stuff, and we can close up this last little system here. Or this is the back, actually. Yeah, so, hey, well, I appreciate you being here. Yeah, yeah, but going towards the cloud, stuff like that. A lot of the companies I work for, they do a decent amount of stuff for cloud. You know, we've moved some stuff to cloud. For instance, like I got a company, everything is cloud for the most part. Besides Like they have physical devices to access the cloud, but everything else is cloud-based. So like just cloud-based Active Directory. So that's kind of a thing. And then this company, all of their stuff is all cloud. These systems just basically access access something on. They access basically a cloud-based like server that has all the infrastructure for their company. So it's kind of how that one works. But yeah, anyways, guys, we are completely done. We have 8 systems now completely built, and I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys for coming out. This pretty much made a mess, but it's been a ton of fun. I've enjoyed talking to you guys. I've had a ton of great conversations. It's really nice to always talk to you guys. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out. You can reach out in my DMs or anything. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you guys in the next live stream. See, should be closing. Guys, just give me a second. Come on. It's taking a second to close.